Welcome to Anime Out of Context, a comedy review show hosted by a basement dweller who grew up scrounging terrible fan subs on sketchy websites prior to the convenience of modern streaming, alongside a willfully ignorant soul whose only knowledge of anime comes from the shows forced upon him here. This show will contain spoilers, incorrect information, and copious amounts of adult language. Our hosts are not experts on any topic, and everything they say should be taken with a grain of salt. Thank you for listening, and enjoy.
Hello and welcome to Anime Out of Context, the show where I attempt to explain the sometimes weird, sometimes wonderful, but always hilarious world of anime.
And I seek Shaun down for multiple movies, all to murder him after I became pregnant.
I'm Shaun Rollins.
I'm Remington Chase.
You know, for people who aren't members of our Patreon, who know what the fuck you're talking about, they're gonna be like, holy shit, did Rem make a Kill Bill reference?
They'll be like, wow, look, he's so cultured.
Yeah, holy shit, I didn't think he'd ever seen a Tarantino film. Good for him.
It's a good question. Have I seen a Tarantino film? I feel like I've probably seen one.
I mean, I can rattle off a couple and you can let me know if you've seen them. Django.
Nope.
Hateful Eight.
Nope.
Kill Bill.
Nope.
They're not coming to my head. Pulp Fiction.
Nope.
Inglourious Bastards.
Nope.
Reservoir Dogs.
Nope.
Yeah, I don't think you have much.
Well, shit.
Yeah, no, like, the fact that you haven't seen Pulp Fiction of all of them, it probably means you haven't seen one, because I feel like of the ones you would have seen, Pulp Fiction seems like the most likely.
Which is why the anime we're covering this week, Pulp Fiction.
Actually, no, I was thinking Inglourious Bastards would be the better one, because, you know, we haven't had any Nazis in our podcast lately, and I feel like we just needed to spice it up a little bit.
There is an astonishing amount of Nazis in anime.
There is. Which is interesting. Usually they're the bad guys.
Thankfully. Usually.
Yeah. Except for the one time they weren't. But hey, you know, it happens. Look, we just don't talk about Strauheim, that's all. But with that in mind, Rem, you've had a bit of a rough go past couple weeks.
Yeah, for like a solid month, it's been rough.
Yeah. And honestly, I felt a little bad. So I figured the best way for me to make it up to you is to play to your character a little bit.
Okay, and what exactly does that entail, Shaun?
Well, Remington, I've known you for a decade.
Yes.
Long time to know a person.
It's true.
It means you know them pretty well. You can understand some of their mannerisms and what kind of choices they would make in certain situations. Not all the time, because of course people will surprise you. But I feel like I know you pretty well. And
all right.
In order to make things more interesting for you.
But we already had like a coin flip last week. Like
Exactly. We had a coin flip last week. So I felt, you know, that's an arbitrary choice that doesn't really mean anything. And part of it made it a little too unfortunate for him, because he definitely has no idea what's on the other side of that coin, and I'm not going to tell you, because if I did, well, that'd ruin it for a future episode. So instead, I'm going to offer you a choice, Rem.
Okay.
And it's not going to be a choice between two anime.
All right.
It's going to be a choice between the anime I have actually prepared for today or one of your favorite temptations, Rem, random gambling, because I still have that document with the D20 roll on it.
Oh, no, the D20 document. Oh, but it's such a cursed document.
It is a cursed document, but to be fair, Rem, I've removed one of the options, and I've decided that if I just want to do more of these D20 anime shenanigans, which I quite frankly enjoy and love, because I'm a slut for a good roll table. Every time we do one, I'm going to replace the anime we covered with one of opposite quality. So
okay.
So for example, last time we did Kuroko no Basket, which you hated, and it was a low number on the dice. So on the document, I have crossed that one out and replaced it with an anime you did enjoy for us to revisit.
Okay.
So in theory, every time we do this document and you roll a low number, the next time you roll that low number means that it'll be a good thing for you. So in theory...
All right, here's what I'm thinking, Shaun. Let me think out loud for a second.
All right, think out loud, please.
I believe... So, I think it is fair to say you want me to do the D20 choice. Like that's what Shaun wants Remington to do here. And if
Do I?
if I'm 1,000,000%, first of all, you can't resist rolling a D20. You're slut for the dice.
That's true.
Second of all, just the gamification of it. Third of all, I'm gonna guess you sort of half-assed the preparation this week.
I didn't. If you choose the first one, I will tell you that I have an anime prepared.
But with the preference in mind, like I think you prefer the random chance element. So I think you would set it up in such a way where if I didn't select the random chance, you would have a shit anime prepared for me, and you would have been like, well, you could have chosen a random one, and I'd be angry, haha, hilarity ensues. You would punish the decision that you want less so that it can still be enjoyable for you. And with that in mind...
Do you really think that I would do that to one of my dearest friends?
Yes.
You really think...
1,000,000%. Undeniably so. So with that in mind, I feel confident that whatever you've prepped this week is shit.
Okay.
Because it would exist to punish me for not giving you a chance to roll a d20, which is like 90% of the reason you live. Like your head, it's at this point it's just D&D and waifu. That's it. That's all that exists in the Shaun brain. And so I think I have to, for any chance of getting a decent thing, I have to go D20.
And what if provided you lock that answer, and how are you going to react if I tell you that I did try to prepare a good anime for you for the other option?
I won't believe you.
All right. Okay, so I'll give you a second to put down your final answer. Will you choose the anime I have prepared, or will you choose the essentially 55% chance of watching something good, or the 45% chance of watching something bad to terrible?
Or I could flip the script on right now, right this moment. He wouldn't expect it. He'd be surprised. No, I'm gamble. Let's do it. D20.
You're gonna gamble? Okay.
Gamble and hope.
Locked it in. All right. So, just to show that I wasn't bullshitting, the anime we would have watched was one called Asobi Asobase, a workshop of fun.
Okay.
And the basic premise of that was it's just 3 girls just screwing around, having a good time, and it's just a slice of life comedy.
God damn it! That sounds like it might be pleasant.
Oh yeah, no, it's got an 8.1 on Mount.
What
so.
The fuck?
Yeah, no, I did try, Rem. I did try.
This is bullshit, dude.
Yeah, so all those who wanted us to cover it, you're gonna have to wait a bit longer. Sorry about that.
God damn it.
So with that in mind, Rem, remember when I said I've known you for 10 years?
Fuck, dude.
That also, no, because I've known you for that long, means I also know what you think I will do.
This is all fuck. All right. Well,
remember
roll the
rock,
dice,
paper, scissors, Rem?
Oh, man. Roll the dice, you son of a bitch. Let's see.
Okay. Rolling. Taking a picture.
I don't want...
All right. Do you want to do it like last time where you get rerolls, or are you going to leave your fate to a single roll of the dice?
I mean, obviously I would prefer rerolls.
All right. I will give you 2 rerolls, because that's what you just rolled. A nice, big, sexy 2.
Oh my god. Yeah, I would like to re-roll that.
All right.
I would very, very much like to re-roll a 2.
All right. I'm going to take another picture, and I'm doing it quickly so that you know I'm not bullshitting you. Because for your second reroll, you got a nice and tasty 4, my guy.
Well, I mean, we're moving up in the world, but we're still, like, there's no reason for me to keep this 4 when there's 16 higher numbers. So
correct.
I mean, just mathematically, obviously I'm re-rolling again.
I will also say, if you roll a 3, that is a special episode meant to torture me.
Okay, all right. So if we can split the difference, so that's fine too.
Yeah.
All right. One final re-roll. Let's see.
Oh no. Oh fuck. This is actually the one result I was not prepared to do, because I didn't think Oh fuck, Rem. I'm sorry.
What the fuck? How do I have the worst luck in the world?
It's probably because I'm rolling the dice, Rem.
So yeah, that's a nat 1.
That's a nat 1, buddy. All right. I'm gonna be generous.
I'm trying to because I feel like you once told me what the Nat 1 was, but I can't like remember. I'm trying to I'm panicking inside my brain, being like, find that memory, mentally prepare, but it's nowhere to be found. It's repressed. It's too far down.
Okay, so Rem, I'm going to be generous. As generous as I fucking can be with that dice roll. This is me using my DM's intervention. Since you rolled a 1 and a 2, I will let you choose between the two anime that those numbers represent. That's the best I can do for you.
So it seems like Shaun didn't adequately prepare for one to ever happen.
It's not that I didn't adequately prepare, I just think it's too soon.
It's too soon. Okay, alright.
Because genuinely, if you'd stuck with the 4, you would have been better off. But that's okay.
I mean, obviously, yeah.
And just as a reminder, these are from our first about 20 episodes of the show that we had, for shows that we mostly have not revisited. I had to put something drastic for the bottom 2 because what are the chances of rolling those, right? So Rem, essentially you get to choose between watching more. The natural 1 was Sword Art Online.
Oh my god.
Which is why I said it was too soon. And the natural 2 was Attack on Titan.
Oh my god.
So this is like the opposite of a Sophie's Choice, really. I genuinely, Rem, I thought that since it went so poorly last time, that this time you had to roll higher. I gave you 3
That's not how luck works.
I was hoping. I was hoping beyond hope. Holy shit, Rem. I was not anticipating this. You need a minute, Rem?
Just taking a breather, taking a self-evaluation.
Wondering how we got to this point.
God damn this shit. All right.
To make it up, I promise we'll do a really good anime next week. I swear on my life.
Well,
one that you'll enjoy specifically.
Look, I am the voice of the people.
You are the voice of the people.
And I feel, first of all, fuck all this. Second of all, I feel the people would feel somewhat deprived if after rolling a Nat 1, I didn't give them the Nat 1.
Rem.
And so,
Rem, it's
yet
too
again,
soon.
I agree with that. You're the one who had it on the fucking board. So,
what would you have considered a better Nat 1, Rem?
Yeah, it's all bad. It's all terrible. I hate everything. So, to honor the roll and to honor the people, I'm choosing Sword Art Online.
I am genuinely sorry, Rem.
Oh, for what, fifth time? Is this the 5th fucking time?
I think it might be, yeah, if you don't count the spin-off.
This is bullshit.
I agree, this is bullshit. What did you do to piss off the knight?
Oh my god, why have I consumed so much Sword Art Online in my life? And why now am I consuming more? How much Sword Art Online is there left? Is my question. I've consumed a lot of it.
Okay, that's a very good question to ask, Rem. That's a very good and important question to ask, and I do have an answer for you. I'm just rapidly pulling up all of my Sword Art Online information, because like I fucking said, I was not prepared for this.
After the last Sword Art Online episode, he just burned his hard drive with all of his Sword Art Online files.
They'll be satisfied. They won't want to continue after this. Like, we know how it's gonna go. Although I will say we have gotten a lot of emails saying, but hey, this arc is the best arc. And I'm like, is it though? Is it though? So let's see. Where is it? All right, so not to alarm you, but the next arc is technically a mega arc.
What the fuck does mega arc mean?
It means that it's the whole arc is one full season, essentially, in this case. And it's actually a season and a half because they split it in 2.
Oh my god, alright.
Yeah, no. Because don't worry, Rem, I'm not going to make you cover the whole thing of this because
thank God.
You would break if I did that because it's 24 episodes.
Oh my god.
I'm not going to do that to you. And to answer your questions, how much Sword Art Online is left, not counting the 2 movies that there are, which we'll probably never watch.
God.
There is a grand total of... That is way too much. I did not know there was that much left. Yeah, there's a grand total of about 46 episodes left.
You know what I hate?
What do you hate?
Is that I've consumed dozens of episodes already. So you tell me like 46 and like first thought, oh my god, that's way too much. But second thought is that's like a plausible amount that we could eventually cover, and I hate that. I despise that. Sword Art Online, truly the Reki.
Reki, it's been a while, Reki. How you doing, bud?
I don't know. I don't know how you control RNGs in these games. I don't know what black magic you got going on, Reki. Nor why, if you're engaging in black magic, you couldn't have sold your soul instead for, like, I don't know, the ability to write good shows. I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know a lot about you, Reki. You are an enigma of a man. But you are my nemesis. You are you are the supervillain of this tale.
Okay. Well, Reb.
Tell me all about it, Shaun.
Okay, I will. Want to hear the good news first?
Sure. Why not? Yeah. All right.
Good news is Kirito is mostly a side character in this season.
That's always good. Fuck Kirito.
Mostly.
Oh, is it because Asuna's the main character?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not at all. The bad news is, okay. Here, the other good news is this is probably the prettiest season of Sword Art Online. Like, it is much better to look at than the other seasons.
Okay.
Which is nice. The bad news. The bad news is it's more Sword Art Online.
Yes, I'm very aware of that.
So the next arc, that is the next 24 episodes, is called Sword Art Online Alicization. And this whole arc and premise is about the experimental technology that is new in this world, and Kirito is trapped in another game.
Oh my god!
Kind of.
How many times can they tell the same story?
It's a little more complex than that.
And if he dies in the game, he dies in real life.
There's a possibility of that, maybe.
Oh my god! You gotta come up with different ideas, Reki!
Well, he does have a bit of a different idea this time. So the way that this one goes, Rem, is Kirigaya Kazuto, or Kirito as we know him, is helping, like, he's basically a full adult at this point, and he's helping a super secret scientific team with some full dive virtual technology.
Oh, yeah. I remember them touching on that.
Yes. And he is currently assisting with a new experimental bit of technology called a soul translator. Yeah, stay with me. Which is meant to interact with a user's flux light.
What?
Which is the technological equivalent of a human soul.
What?
And it's different from sending signals to the brain. And the...
But you can't just say it's different. You need to specify how it's different.
Look, if... Let me put it to you this way, Rem. I did the research for this one when it originally came out. And I read some synopses about a year ago in the off chance that we had to come back to it quickly. And like my notes for this one are very sparse. But generally speaking, the general idea is that there's a new bit of technology where they can essentially create like digital souls, and you can transfer your quote unquote digital soul into this game, and the goal is to create like perfect AI essentially.
But I feel like they... All right, correct me if I'm wrong, but also that already happened. And let's talk about like, oh, perfect AI. Let's talk about their fucking daughter for a moment. That is straight up sentient code.
Which, hey, guess
how much more advanced?
They have Kirito on the team.
How much more advanced can it get than literal sentient code that just emerged from itself?
Well, they're trying to replicate it, essentially.
What the? I hate.
Yeah. So essentially,
I'm already so mad.
As you should be. Essentially, he's helping with this project, super secret, top secret government project, and he's very smart and clever and all that jazz, and he's, very gifted. So of course they involve him. The hero. I almost said the Kirito, which might as well be the hero of Sword Art Online and all that jazz. And he is doing this and just on his off time. It's his job. He's an adult now, so it's fine.
But then something goes wrong.
Yes. But surprisingly, it's not something that goes wrong while he's testing the game.
Okay.
What goes wrong? Oh, God. Yep, that's what goes wrong, isn't it? What goes wrong is one day he and Asuna are walking home. Late at night. They're a couple. They do things. They go out on dates.
And then he gets truck-cooned.
Not quite. Worse. What ends up happening is, do you remember the plot of Gun Gale? The Sword Art Online arc, not the spin-off?
Yeah, it was Sword Art, but they had guns.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
And then there was Death Gun, and it was a dude who just showed the fuck up and murdered people as they were playing games.
Yep. But
And
it was
like
actually
a crew.
but
It was a team, and
Yeah.
not all of them got caught or something.
Yeah, of the 3 people involved, 1 did not get caught.
Yeah.
So this starts out with the introduction to this technology and Kirito's work. And then when they're walking home one night, guess what? The 3rd Death Gun shows up and tries to kill Kirito, mortally wounding him. And in order to preserve him, in order to save his life, they temporarily throw him in this device, which is also part of the plot of the last arc we covered.
But also, all right, so this device, it would save his soul.
Yes.
It would preserve his soul, but his
Yes.
body is still fucked.
Yes, and I believe they're trying to buy time. The details are foggy, Rem. The details are foggy because I remembered being grumpy the whole time I was watching it.
But also, look, if you study philosophy, some good old David Hume, or even Jabe Geller recently released a fantastic video on this, Soma, the game,
I love that game.
uploading your soul and whatnot. If Kirito's body died, he is just dead, but you have a copy of him now. I want to be clear.
Hey, so there's your silver lining, Rem. You get to watch Kirito die.
Been waiting for this moment for so fucking long, dude.
Yep, and just ignore the fact that there are, over 40 episodes left. Just ignore that fact. Ignore that fact.
All right, well, very importantly, Shaun, I have to ask, I'm not going to be watching the entire season, but how much am I going to be watching? Because unfortunately, with it being Sword Art Online, I think the fewest episodes you've ever had me watch in one sitting is 6.
Yep, that is correct.
And the maximum you've had me watch in a single instance was 14.
That is also correct. I'm not going to make you watch that much.
Cool, awesome.
Oh, fuck, Rem.
Out with it. Come on.
Rem, I don't want to say on the podcast, because if I do it, it's committed. It's committed, and I'm gonna feel bad if you didn't need to watch as much as I'm thinking you might need to watch.
You'll only kill a man.
That's the issue, Rem, is I don't want to kill you. Contrary to popular belief, I like you. You're one of my best friends. I don't want to kill you. But the dice are against you today, which is weird because they're usually against me. Are you gonna make me to commit to my gut instinct?
I mean, I don't know how many I have to watch right now, Shaun.
Because my gut instinct is 10 episodes.
Oh, fuck.
Which I don't want to do to you. The only reason I'm saying 10 episodes is because at that 10th episode is the most problematic thing I remember from this season.
Fuck.
That is my gut instinct. Otherwise, oh god, yeah, it's that. Oh god, yeah.
Well,
sorry.
here we fucking go.
Okay.
See you on
sorry,
the other
Rem.
side, fuckers.
I'm so sorry, Rem. I'm gonna treat you to something nice next week. I promise. I swear to God, I promise. I'm gonna do my damnedest. So I guess with that in mind, Rem, let's go watch some Sword Art Online Alicization.
A brief content warning before we get into part 2. Later in the episode, there is discussion of sexual assault in the context of Sword Art Online. If you're not comfortable listening to either of those topics, you might want to skip this one.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back after watching the first 10 episodes of Sword Art Online Alicization. And Remington, I will say right at the top of this second half that there are a lot of people out there who think we are a bit too negative at times. You know? They seem to think...
Yeah, I've heard that opinion before, yeah.
Yeah, they seem to think that we only focus on bad things and we're just here to shit on things. And I'm of the opinion that's not what we're always here to do. I think the idea is that you and I are here to make entertaining content and have a laugh at least once a week as friends, and talk about things and just a nice prolonged conversation. So before we really get into the first 10 episodes of Alicization, how about we talk about some of the positive things about the show, Rem?
All right. Okay.
It is the best looking it's been.
Yeah, I think visually it's pretty solid. I don't think they do much with their aesthetics, but I think there are better stills of the show, right? If you took a screenshot of the show.
Yeah, you'd get a lovely, well-shaded screenshot.
Yeah.
There's some nice lighting effects. It's pretty good.
The animation, meanwhile, it's fine. It's whatever. We'll get into the fight animations are wildly disappointing.
Rem, positives.
Probably an all-time low.
Positives,
in fact, which already. No, yeah. So it looks nice. I thought the OP was fine.
I mean, it's by Lisa, so that's usually a good sign. Lisa does good OPs.
I'll have at least one compliment in episode, I don't know, 3, 4, I can't remember.
Yeah. And it's not entirely about Kirito.
I mean, I guess.
Technically.
I was hoping he'd be a proper side character. No, it's still the Kirito show. It's just sometimes Kirito he decides not to be the protagonist for a minute. Now, it's not that the show is let's focus on someone else. It is almost always Kirito being hey, you take some of the limelight. He's affording them that opportunity.
Which is a step in the right direction.
All right, so let's get started with episode 1. And first of all, Shaun, you son of a bitch.
Oh, hey, what? What?
Because episode 1, it's a double episode. God damn it.
Yeah.
Episode 1 is a 45-minute instead of 25 or whatever, right? Which is unfortunate because I also think this first episode is one of the single worst episodes of anything I have ever seen.
I'll be honest with you, Rem. I had completely forgotten it was a double-length episode.
The first episode is so bad, and let me tell you why.
Okay.
The entirety of the first episode, nearly 100% with very little exaggeration, is just exposition. Now that's annoying. That's annoying, especially when it's half the length of a goddamn movie, right? When it's all just exposition. But there's some decent ways to do exposition. I mean, especially it's episode 1, so you gotta introduce things to people somehow.
Yeah, there's perfectly natural ways to introduce high concepts,
I would argue that Sword Art Online does exposition in the worst way here. Now, Shaun, I want to do a little game with the listeners here, right? Because I've made a big claim. I've just made the claim that Sword Art Online does the worst expositional trope. So I'm going to propose 3 god-awful exposition tropes, right?
Okay.
And we'll all agree generally these 3 are some bottom of the barrel worst ways that you can explain things in media. And I think our listeners, just by me telling them that Sword Art Online does the worst one, I think they'll be able to tell. Okay?
All right.
So, first, a terrible way to do exposition is you have characters living in a certain setting, right? And all the characters know all the information, but you force them to speak so unnaturally. It's the good old, hey, as your best friend of 2 years, do you remember this memory we all shared? Now let's go over to this location, the one that's special for this reason, because it's going to be this event, the one we hold annually every year to celebrate this. Once again, as we all know.
Yes, as I'm sure you're well aware.
Yes, which is, we all agree, that's terrible.
Yes, very bad.
A secondary way to handle exposition that's also pretty bad is you have a character with no memories, right? They have no memories, and so it's, oh, well, since you forgot, let me just explain it all to you in grueling detail, without ever letting up, and completely, once again, unnaturally. So that's not great either.
No.
And 3, you have it a little bit different, where it's exposition, especially for technical stuff, where you have an expert of some kind, right? Perhaps a scientist or someone or a historian, right?
Right.
And you just have them talk to other characters being okay, let me explain what's going on here. And then they just explain all of the jargon, just defining terms, basically.
Right.
So we can all agree, those three, all of them are bottom of the barrel. So listeners, I hope you've guessed. And the more acute of you will have realized what I'm doing. Sword Art Online does all fucking three. And now, you might think, to explain different things? No, I swear to God, they explain this, everything they explained in episode 1, right? Which, once again, that's 45 minutes of exposition. They explain later using other expositionary tools that also suck. I really have to clarify that I am not being very hyperbolic when I say I think around 70% of the entire show that we've seen, 10 goddamn episodes, has just been exposition. I don't think I'm exaggerating that much.
You're not.
At all.
You're not.
Like,
you 1000% are not, my guy.
Which is insane! And it's not natural. None of it is natural. It's all exposition dump. Every single time. Oh my god! I was losing my shit because in episode 1, they just keep doing that. Almost all of the dialogue in episode 1 is that shitty, so as we all know, type of exposition. It's mind-blowing to me. I was really hoping, I was like, all right, hey man, just persevere, push through it. Sword Art Online's one of the few shows that I need to, like, step away. Like, multiple times. Like, I will feel myself cringing as I watch, and there are moments where I just straight up need to pause, not just to take notes, but just to take a moment to myself. No show fucks me up like that as much as Sword Art Online. There's probably worse shows than Sword Art Online.
Oh no, we've definitely covered worse shows.
But Sword Art Online is unique in the fact that a lot of other bad shows, it's like, oh yeah, it's bad fundamentally because of this reason, right? And this thing keeps popping up and it's the reason why it's bad. Whether it's bad animation or a terrible character or just some terrible pacing. It's like, here are the reasons this show is bad and these are the reasons that continue. But Sword Art Online is, like, creatively bad. It's like watching something like The Room and being like, I fundamentally don't understand how these creative decisions were made. And they just keep fucking coming. So with all that said, let's get into it.
Yeah. And before we do, Rem, I will just say, just as a frame of reference, this season, Alicization it's called, covers is an adaptation that covers volumes 9 through 14 of the light novel, just for frame of reference.
Perfect.
So it's probably a safe assumption that since they're covering so many books in a 24 episode period,
oh yeah, pacing is fucked. Pacing is god awful.
Yeah.
So we start out, we're clearly in a nice new digital world, and a young boy form of Kirito is chopping a big old tree with his friend Eugeo, right?
Yeah.
Not Yu-Gi-Oh, Eugeo.
Yep. It's like Eugene, but with an O at the end.
Yeah. And let me just say right off the bat, Eugeo and Kirito, and I mean this sincerely, I think.
Okay.
Let me think. Do I mean it sincerely? I feel like I do. I think Eugeo and Kirito in this one scene have more romantic chemistry than Kirito and literally any other character thus far.
Yeah, no, I'll agree with that. Like,
yeah,
1,000%, I'll agree with that.
They're like chatting and then they just start like wrestling, right? And it's not even just like rambunctious wrestling. No, it's like I pin you down and straddle you, then you pin me down and straddle me. Like that's the kind of wrestling we're going for.
Yeah, and there's an uncomfortably long set of frames of of just one of their butts and their legs on the other side. It's just like, y'all, I know this isn't what's going on.
It's very weird because it's like the rest of the show doesn't care about that at all. But it's like you had a separate animator for just the first scene, and they were under the impression that it was yaoi. Like
they were never told anything about Sword Art Online before, and they just see these two kids play fight, and they're like, all right, okay, so that's gonna be a nice budding young shonen ai romantic.
But only the first scene. Only the first scene.
Only that first scene, yeah. Then they got fired because.
So these boys, they end up being caught by Alice, a young girl about their age. Alice, she's blonde, blue eyes. She's wearing a blue dress with a white apron. It's Alice in Wonderland. It's Alice in Wonderland. Now, here's the thing. You might think, okay, well, yeah, that's pretty obvious that that's Alice in Wonderland. The show thinks you're an idiot. The show thinks you're an absolute moron because they will continue to make Alice in Wonderland references, right? But they're so frightened that you won't catch every single one of them. Like, they are terrified of this fact. So they make sure to have characters be like, oh, isn't that an Alice in Wonderland reference? And it's like, it wasn't subtle in the first place. I don't know why you feel the need to have multiple lines of dialogue pointing it out. Like, we got it. We're good.
I mean, it's not like it's not like they also have a line of dialogue later on that's like, oh, you mean like Alice in Wonderland or the Japanese translated title Alice in the Underworld or something of that effect? They wouldn't do that. That would be
there's
that'd
like
be ridiculous.
3 lines of dialogue all explaining the same old shit. Which is a theme. So Alice catches them. They all have a picnic together, right? And then I can only describe it as Kirito invents refrigeration. Because they're all having a picnic, right? And it's like, man, it sucks that it's summer and food spoils so fast. And Kirito's like, what if we got ice and we cooled the food, stored it in a cooler environment so it didn't spoil as fast? It's so weird.
Hey, to be fair though, Rem, Kirito doesn't have his like normal human world memories. He has his fake underworld memories at this point. So really, that's just him being a creative and clever character.
And you know what? I can sort of be okay with that, right? Sort of.
Right.
But even in this simulation, the world has existed with like basically full sentient people
for 400 years.
For centuries. They've created great civilizations, but they haven't figured out, oh, what if we cool shit down? Especially, it turns out they got a magical ice cave pretty close by.
Yeah. Well.
And the kids are all talking about it. They're like, oh, well, that's the only place we'd find ice in the summer. And they tell a little folklore about a great warrior who fought a dragon in that cave, right? And there's untold treasures. So these 3 children are like, oh, okay, let's just get the ice from the dragon. You know, the one that this great hero barely survived. So they do. That's where they go. And they journey off to the cave. They see some ice. They decide, oh no, this ice isn't enough. We need to like go to where the dragon would be for more ice for no reason. And they go in and they see the dragon is dead. It's just dragon bones, which is also like, instead of being like, oh, thank God we're not gonna die, they're like, oh no, this is bad because it's the only thing keeping the baddies out, the creatures from the dark territory, from invading. That might be problematic. Well, don't worry about it. Like they make that note and then just disregard it. They also find the great hero's blue rose sword, right? And it's like, oh man, but they can't lift it, so they just leave it there. They don't even take any of the gold. They take some of the ice, put it in a basket. It's like, cool. They get a little lost in the cave, even though as far as we have seen, it's a one-way cave. It is like there aren't branchaways. Like it is just a straightaway cave. You hit the dragon, you keep going, you get to the dark territory, but they get lost.
Yes. Yes.
And they got lost. They're like, oh, is this the way out? And no, it's the way to the dark territory, which, according to the Taboo Index, you cannot travel into the dark territory. And in the dark territory, they see an Integrity Knight fighting a Dark Knight upon dragons, and they fight, and the Integrity Knight wins. But then the Dark Knight, as he crashes into the floor, he reaches his arm out towards Alice, and then Alice, for no goddamn reason, she reaches out to the Dark Knight and trips and falls, and she places a fingertip into the dark territory. So a giant, bald, naked man, his face portals into existence, and he's like, "Oh, you done fucked up.
Well,
you
we don't know
broke
if
the
he's
taboo
naked, Rem.
index." He's not wearing a shirt, at least.
He could be rocking some really cool jeans. You don't know.
He could. Just some nice, stylish, distressed jeans, you know.
Yeah. Is he rich, or is he just like really thrifty? It's hard to tell.
Who knows? And so it's like, oh man, Allison's gonna be in trouble, and then they're like, let's just go. Not worry about it. I don't know, man. So they go back, right? And they got the basket of ice and everything. Here's the thing. We see Alice the next day with the same basket of ice. She has not removed the basket from the ice and done anything with it. And also, it just has not melted in the summertime heat.
I mean, it's got to be like fancy magic ice, surely.
It is not presented as such.
Well,
it
no.
is presented as ice.
Yes.
And as soon as it leaves the basket, it does immediately start to melt.
Oh, yeah, that is true, isn't it?
It is just ice that somehow all of it lasted a day. And for some reason, she is just carrying around a basket of ice, doing nothing with it. It's almost like it was a really forced way to get her to go to the dark territory. Like, that was it. That's all that was for. But nonetheless, she broke the taboo index. She's in trouble now. So the Integrity Knight, the good old white knight, he comes and he announces, hey, Alice broke the taboo index, so she's in trouble. Kirito tries to save her, but is held down and stopped. Eugeo has a glitch eye thing. Basically, you know the anime eye.
Yeah.
It's that, but instead of magic, it's like
Code.
Glitchy red. It's system error eye.
Yeah.
But it does the same effect. And after all that, Kirito, he wakes up. And he's just in the normal world. Don't worry, man. It was all just part of the simulation, which, like, yeah, obviously, yeah, like, clearly.
No, what, you thought this was real?
Like, yeah, none of us were worried about that fact. Then the show decides, hey, guys, do want to remind you, the ensemble does exist.
Not for long, but they do.
Yeah, so we have a scene in, like, Gun Gale where all of the ensemble is fighting this other crew, and the other crew, they're crafty, but the ensemble, of course, is too good for them, so the dark, spooky other crew starts to run away. And then the ensemble, they start talking, and I should note, the ensemble no longer has personalities. The ensemble, the only reason people might think they have personalities is because they remember them having personalities, which even then, like, we can be honest, like, pushing it a little bit. Yeah. Like, they never really had personalities.
There's Klein.
But Klein also still no personality. Yeah, no, unfortunately, Klein wanted better for him. Nah, sorry, you're just as disappointing as the rest, mate. All of them just have the most bland dialogue, and they have a chat with each other where it's like, oh man, this mysterious, enigmatic crew, and they have a 100% win rate despite, like, running away from us, which I think would, like, that counts as a win. If, like, we confront each other and you retreat, and that's the end of the story, that's a loss, my dude.
Yeah.
But they're like 100% win rate because that's the only way Sword Art Online knows how to make characters into threats, is that they are the greatest threat of all time, right? It can't just be, wow, they're very talented. It needs to be, they're the single greatest.
Well, to be fair, Rem, this only lasts for like the 5 minutes the Gun Gale Online stuff happens, so like you don't really need to.
It's true.
You don't really need to worry about that.
They pose this as more important than it is. Like it's vaguely. I don't know if this is even intentional. We'll see. But it seems like they're trying to make a link, like, this crew, they don't loot or anything. It just seems to be for practice, which is also sort of related then to the Alicization world that is going to be used for military purposes, or at least that's its intention.
Yeah, the underworld, as it's called.
So it's like, there's maybe a connection there. At one point, they're like, wow, there's also this one specific player that, you know, he's also insanely talented and enigmatic, and he's also very, very similar to this whole group we just talked about. But who knows if there's a connection. And that is also the only time any of that's mentioned. Like, it seems like it's going to be important. Thus far, it has not been.
And I'll tell you right now, in between the first recording and coming back to do this, I watched double the amount that Remington did just because I wanted to be extra certain. It still hasn't happened. So don't worry about it. And there's 24 episodes in the seasons. I'm on episode 20. I'm going to finish the rest of the season just on the off chance that something god-awful happens in the future.
Then why did we get an exposition dump about them all?
God
damn it.
I think it's supposed to be maybe slightly foreshadowing. Oh God, I forget his name.
Because let me be
laughing
clear.
coffin guy at the end. I think that's the only
let me
thing
be
that
clear.
does.
As I'm describing things, most of the time you shouldn't imagine things like visually happening on the screen. Most times you should just imagine characters explaining what I am explaining to you all.
Yeah. But it's okay because they're usually in game, so they're cool looking characters are talking about. Except for when the rest of it's being talked about in a bar.
Yeah. So Sinon asks for Kirito and Asuda's help. We get some more exposition about the subtleizer and death gun and bullshit. We learn about a health app and get some exposition about that and Kirito's job. Then we get exposition on the Fluct light, which is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. So,
but Rem, it's talking about. Sword Art Online is asking the true deep philosophical questions here, and it just really wants you to think about the nature of life and choice.
Look, it would be annoying enough if they were just like, it latches on into the soul. Cool. And then they just left it at that, and then you're left being like, what the fuck? What? That seems dumb. How does that work? But that would have still been better than trying to explain it, which they do. And so I just want everyone to know the science of the soul, Shaun. So I'm just going to briefly cover the science of the soul. It's a lesson now.
All right, hit me with it. Let's hear it.
So, you're familiar that the human body has different systems, right? You have the nervous system, endocrine system, et cetera, right? All these systems. Well, you also have a system within your body of very small microtubules, but they don't pump any type of like fluid or like neuroelectric charges or any of that. Instead, it's just in those microtubules, it's pure light. And in this light,
I didn't mean to laugh. Continue.
This is science, Shaun?
Yes,
in
no,
this
sorry.
Light, you see, that is the soul.
I understand completely. So it's connected to like the vascular system, right? With all the tubes and all the body.
Great question. Who knows? But here's also the thing about that.
Yeah.
It sort of poses a pretty fucked up image because it's like, okay, so when you kill a person, you do just kill their soul because like the soul is now a physical part of you. But also like who knows what the fuck the soul does or is. But like when you physically die in SAO, also your soul is gone forever, like canonically, because it is a physical system.
There's no afterlife. Fuck off. You're done. So, except for, all the times the ghosts happened in Sword Art.
Oh my god.
Ignore that.
No. Oh, fuck.
You forgot about that, didn't you?
Oh my. There's so much insanity in this show.
Yeah. No, it's okay. It's okay. It was like 1 or 2 instances of ghosts showing up. It's fine. It's fine. You don't... Look, you die in SAO, you die, like, in the grand universe.
Yeah. So, and Kirito, like, he's working for a company that can tap into the soul and create... Here's the thing that they will emphasize multiple times. The virtual world that you go into when it taps into your soul, it's, like, really real, right? But here's the fucking thing.
Yeah.
That's what they were emphasizing this whole fucking time for all the other VR shit.
Yeah. No,
they were like, this is more real. This is... You are there, right? You are... If you... tap into like the original Sword Art Online, buddy, you are there, you can feel it, you are experiencing it, it is just as real as reality. So later when Kirito ends up in the soul tapped version of this virtual world, right, it's tapping into his soul, and he's like, wow, this is more real than anything that that the other VR could do, it's meaningless. It's meaningless because you've already been like, no, we hit 100% last time. Oh man, but this is so much more than that.
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
Rem,
Like,
the biggest difference is they can make a copy of a human soul now.
but it's fucking meaningless. Oh god, this show, it tilts me so fucking hard. It tilts me so hard. Like, you already maxed out the realism scale. You can't then be like, yeah, +1. Like, you've been like, yeah, it's complete. What are you talking about? Nonetheless, we get all that exposition. Kirito decides he's going to go to America, and he invites Asuna. They share a touching moment. There's also a bunch of exposition about, like, the original Sword Art that, frankly, like, I don't remember everything that went on in the totality of Sword Art that I've consumed. So they're referencing... Yeah, they're referencing past characters and talking about the commander and this happened. Remember this scene? I'm like, I got no fucking idea, dude. I'm lost.
Let me break it down to you. Basically, they wanted to remind you of Laughing Cough and the guys who eventually became Death Gun and the trio of murderers and blah 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 blah, and how there was one that escaped. That was the whole point of that scene. It's like, oh yeah, remember the end of Gun Gale? How there were 3 dudes, but one of them wasn't caught.
And then I think they also want to bring up that, like, the original creator of Sword Art Online, the one responsible for the massacre, the borderline genocide. You remember that.
Yeah.
We'll touch on that later.
I wouldn't call it borderline. I think it's pretty equivocally a genocide of gamers.
The most oppressed class all along, baby. So we get all that exposition. And then all of a sudden, Johnny Black of Laughing Coffin,
that was his name.
Who's the third member of Death Gun, he shows up, right? And he's like, hey, Kirito, let's fight. And he has the poison. And Kirito, all he has is an umbrella. But here's also the thing.
Yes.
Kirito, even in real life, he is a talented swordsman. That has been, like, established canonically that, like, I remember railing on this fact.
Yes.
That the skills sort of just go hand in hand. Yes. What you have in real life will help you in the game. What happens in the game will help you in real life, right?
Right.
And we've seen Kirito is a pretty good swordsman.
Yeah, you'd think after, 2 years of constant swordplay, which, by the way, I just did some fact checking. I think I might have mentioned the top of the half that he was 18 now. No. He's 17 now, so everything that's happened to this point has happened in the span of 3 years.
Oh my god.
So, yeah. Oh, and also we skipped a movie, by the way, Remington. There was a movie right before this season. But the reason we skipped, rather than forcing you to watch that movie and then doing Alicization later, I skipped the movie because I watched it myself and I thought to myself, you know what? Looking in Alicization, the only thing that movie did for Alicization is the augmented reality glasses that let them see Yui in the real world. So you're good. You don't need to watch it. I'm not going to put you through that shit.
Fuck. So you'd think, like, Kirito, he's a talented swordsman, and this other dude is just a dude.
Yes.
Maybe he has some latent talent, but even, like, in the game, he was pretty shit, so he should be pretty shit now. So Kirito, like, he sees the poison, you'd think, I got this umbrella, I'm gonna, like, block him and then yeet him away with the umbrella, right?
Right. Instead,
he basically just lets himself get stabbed, but he stabs the dude in the leg with the umbrella.
Yeah, no. Like, Rem, you're not, I'm gonna out you. You're not exactly a professional swordsman, Rem.
No, that is true. That is my
But if
my
a
deep
dude
shame.
is coming at you with a syringe that's only like 5 inches long at most, and you've got an umbrella with a sharp tip, where are you gonna stab the dude that's coming at you?
Well, I mean, it depends on a few things. One of my lowest options would be the leg, right? First option is I'm probably not going to focus on stabbing. I'm going to try and smack it out of his hand.
Right.
Or create some distance. Like, those are the priorities here.
Right.
But Kirito's just like, let's stab him in the leg. I don't know what happens to Johnny Black after this.
I can't remember if they said it in a throwaway line of exposition saying they caught him afterwards, but genuinely, they could not have.
Like, I don't, yeah, it doesn't really matter. Point is, Kirito, oh no, he gets stabbed with the poison. Kirito wakes up back in the Alicization.
Yeah,
right?
we're on to episode 2 now.
Yep, we enter episode 2. He's in Alice's. Yeah, all of that shit, by the way, was episode 1.
Yes.
And I can guarantee I am describing it in a more streamlined and interesting way. So he wakes up in Alicization, but he has his memories of his actual life. Which it's not. I don't really know why.
I just fact checked the giant black thing. Even the wiki doesn't know for certain. It says, although he himself was injured during the encounter and later arrested by the police, citation needed.
Oh, that's funny.
So genuinely,
who knows?
No
Johnny Black is still out there.
I mean, we forgot about him for a whole half a season, so might as well forget about him for the end of time as well.
Yeah, we'll assume he's been arrested or something. We don't see the scene that happens afterward at all. But he wakes up in the game, but he still has his memories. And it's like, I guess his soul has been copied, but also the other times that it accessed his soul, he didn't have memories because that's a fundamental feature of the Alicization engine.
I think now I could be wrong on this, but because let's be real, consistency isn't exactly SAO's strong suit.
No.
But I think they purposefully removed his memories while they're testing it so that they could have as neutral experimentational data as possible, not being influenced by real world memories type of thing.
Okay, sure. We'll go with it. We will assume the best.
Yes, that's my assumption.
And Kirito has no memories of the Alicization world, except he sort of does-ish sometimes, kinda.
Yes.
Don't think about it. Don't worry about it.
Oh god, I just thought of the other reason it could be.
Oh yeah.
The other reason it could be is because Kirito is essentially dead for the most part. So the machine has access to all of his soul now. Is probably what they're going.
Which also is real fucking dumb.
Oh yeah.
But which also but he's still linked up, so his body is doing something.
I mean, he's essentially just in a coma right now.
I don't know what the fuck is this.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway,
look,
here we enter
rough,
the second terrible way of doing exposition, the amnesia trope I mentioned.
Yeah.
In episode 2, once again, not bullshitting, they provide exposition to this world on a bunch of shit we received exposition of in episode 1. Except now, instead of the characters being like, as we all know, just replace that with, well, since you don't know. But we as the audience still have to endure that. For some reason, they decided this is very important to have.
I'm gonna say it. I think you probably actually could have skipped episode 1, and it's been fine.
I think you could have skipped the show.
Well, look, hey, Rem,
I would agree, actually. I think you could straight up skip episode 1. I'm trying to think of anything that's super important, but if anything, I think it might be a slightly more interesting show.
Yeah, because hey, Kirito's in a world, and he doesn't quite. And it seems like he kind of knows what's going on, but doesn't.
Because
really
all the other stuff, it still would get explained, but in a slightly more less hand-holdy manner, a slightly more interesting manner. I think it might be an objectively better show if you skip episode 1. It wouldn't be a good show, but I think it would be better.
Although, Rem, you would miss watching Kirito get stabbed.
You'd miss him inventing refrigeration. He meets Eugeo by the tree, and they start talking, right? And Kirito's like, wow, this is more real than anything else. And as they start trying to chop the tree down, at one point, Kirito gives it a try, and thank God they don't have him immediately chop down the whole tree. I mean, they sort of do later, but not now.
You were prepared. You were prepared.
Yes. Essentially, they take OP Kirito, right?
Right.
And Kirito is still OP, but they're like, we will, for any given situation, we'll wait 2 more scenes than we otherwise would have. So he'll still be OP, but and not even necessarily less OP, just slower OP.
Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, you see, I figured out what the issue was, Rem.
Oh?
And I'll use an exact line in the show as well.
Oh, fuck.
See, the problem is he was using an axe. And as we all know,
Yeah,
A sword is
yep.
the same thing as an axe.
Yep, we get exposition on the child of Vector. We get more exposition on what happened to Alice, which we also already saw.
Yes,
We get exposition on the village and Eugeo's calling, which once again we all already know. They end up going back to the village where we meet a bully named Zinc, who seemed like he might have been relevant. No, this is
Nah.
it. This is all we see. He just shows up to be an asshole and be like, Eugeo, you have such a shitty calling, chopping trees. And who's this guy? He probably doesn't even have a calling. And Kirito's like, my calling is swordsmanship, and let me show you. And he grabs a sword, and he's just the best ever at it. He's still amazing at swords. And also sword abilities from the game still apply. And they explain it by being like, oh yeah, because the soul engine, it is using the engine linked to everything else. God forbid we do anything separate from it.
Yeah, no, they took the egg, which was, as I'm sure you remember, at the end of the first season, and used it as the baseline for this whole system. So,
yeah,
of course,
you know how I thought it was a bit silly when they were like, oh, let's take SAO and all of these other games, just put them all together, and that's fine. Yeah, boom. They just do the same thing now with the Soul system.
except with government funding this time.
Yeah. And then he goes and stops by the church. And as they're talking and building some exposition, right, they decide, oh, so the Integrity Knight took Alice to the central city, the big city, and Kirito's like, well, I haven't been able to get out of the simulation thus far, but maybe I'll be able to find a way out if I go to Central City, which I don't know how that makes sense at all. That, what it feels like, all right, so I'm playing a game, right? I'm playing Elden Ring, and then I'm like, oh man, I can't Alt F4 out of Elden Ring, but maybe if I just keep moving forward, I'll be able to. What are you talking about?
Hey, Rem.
What do you mean?
Rem, come on. You know exactly where to go in Elden Ring.
Yes, I know everything about Elden Ring.
Yeah, no, 1000%, 1000%. You're certainly not making that reference because it's topical.
It's topical, and I also want to bring up how Shaun has died hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times.
Hey. It's only, fuck, how
Is
many
it 500 yet?
No, it's only like 280.
Oh,
Within 40 hours of gameplay, excuse you, and it's the first time I've done this by myself, damn it. I'd like to see you try, jackass.
But yeah, so that doesn't make sense. But moving in, we get to episode 3. We meet Selka, who is Alice's little sister, who's just not as good as Alice, like canonically.
Yeah, no, like, her whole purpose is to not be as good as Alice.
Yes.
Like, in the eyes of everybody, including herself.
So, he's woken up by Selka. He goes to the tree with Eugeo. Some more exposition dump. Eugeo brings the blue rose sword that he eventually brought back. And Kirito's like, oh no. Essentially, Kirito isn't a high enough level to wield the sword yet, so it feels extra heavy.
Yeah.
Because this is the sword of, like, a folk hero, of, like, a mythical being, basically, yes. Right? So it's a pretty impressive sword. But he teaches Eugeo some sword play. He chats more with Selka. Selka sort of has a crush on Eugeo. They decided that all the girls can't crush on Kirito because they really want to, like, be like, oh, Kirito and Asuna, right? So in this scene, they just have all the girls crush on Eugeo. But in the chat with Selka, Kirito mentions what happened to Alice, because apparently no one's told her, and how she touched the dark territory. So the next day, genuinely, almost no reason, Selka runs away to the cave near the dark territory.
Yeah.
And why exactly? To become a damsel in distress. I don't know what more to tell you,
well,
man.
Hey, look,
like, she sort of wants to be where her sister once was at one point, sort of, kind of, maybe, for no reason.
Well, Rem, think of it this way. Remington invented refrigeration in the first episode, so it's only fair that he invents fridging in this one.
Also, I feel like we should have seen more of Selka in episode 1, where we were in the Alicization world.
Nah.
But it's standard sword art style. It's like, oh, I have an idea. Let's just introduce it now. Oh, but technically, shouldn't it have been introduced earlier? Ah, fuck them. So, she
I'll
runs
read a
away.
wiki summary. It'll be fine.
She runs away. Eugeo and Kirito go to the caves again. They hear a scream, they run, and they see that now in the cave with the dragon bones is a bunch of goblins. A bunch of evil, terrible goblins, and Selka is tied up. And they're like, oh shit, like we don't have anything really to fight them with. And then Eugeo, they're like, all right, maybe we can handle this sneakily. And then Eugeo screams, like he just yells out to Selka. And all the goblins are like, oh, all right, let's kick some ass.
Yeah.
Really dumb moment, really dumb scene.
Yeah,
we get to episode
where they mention that fucking using a sword is the same as using an axe, which irritated my nerdy little heart to no extent.
Because first of all, no,
no, like without, like no, they have nothing in common, damn it, except for like a sharp bit. That's it.
You swing them. There you go.
I'm gonna fucking swing the creators of this show is what I'm gonna do.
Episode 4, Kirito and Eugeo, they like briefly hide behind something, which isn't really hiding because it's like all the goblins saw where they were. But the goblins, they're taking it real slow.
Yeah.
On the walk. Despite them being like, let's fucking get them, they're like, all right, not very nonchalant, y'all.
Yeah.
But Kirito decides to rush the goblins, takes out their torches so it's darker, even though that does not affect literally anything I want to establish.
Yeah,
like,
no, also...
I thought maybe it's to blind them. The light level just doesn't change.
Yeah, also, like, everybody knows goblins have dark vision. Dumbass.
He gets some swords, gives one to Eugeo. Eugeo also has a glowing, like, leaf or some shit that the goblins are afraid of because it's magical.
Yeah.
Kirito kicks major ass, and ends up going toe-to-toe with the big goblin.
Yeah.
Against the big goblin, he attacks, but then he's outmatched. Eugeo saves Kirito, not in, like, a cool way or an interesting way. He doesn't do much. And then Eugeo gets sliced straight through the fucking gut.
Yeah.
Right? Eugeo also, like, as he's dying, he suddenly remembers Kirito, whereas before he didn't. Like their memories from back when. He's like, oh, those good old times. Kirito rages at this point and easily wins. He saves Selka, and he's like, Selka, you're a healer. You need to heal Eugeo. And all right, let's talk about what happens.
Do we have to?
Selka is like, I am pretty trash, I'll be honest. Yeah. I can only heal minor scratches. However, we could do this little like satanic life transfer pact that I also know how to do. It could kill us, or it could save his life. We'll see. And I just like imagining that, you being like, hey, let's see. I'll be honest, I ain't a doctor, but I can give you band-aids or a deal with the devil. Like, which one? I don't know. Like, I feel like there should be a gradient between these. Between being like, I can only do the lowest level healing magic around. Oh, but I can also do this extremely powerful, high-risk healing magic. Yeah. Like, did they teach you nothing in between those? Was that like...
So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I think, and this is me genuinely assuming, I think it's something that everyone knows how to do, because I shit you not, it happens more times in the series down the line. Not to that quite of a dramatic extent, but they do genuinely are like, shit, healing ain't gonna work. Better offer some of my soul. Or
it's
life
so
points or
weird.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's very weirdly handled. And it's also weirdly handled because it's like, oh, we could die from this. But also, it seems like you would need to be really stupid for you to die from it. Right?
It just seems like they are straight up just transferring numbers.
It's a gradual process.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to suddenly spike. It's like in any video game you've played where, like in Skyrim, the equilibrium spell where your health becomes magicka. Yeah, you can die from it if you're just not paying attention.
Wow, you actually pulled out a nerdy reference that you actually understood.
And it was a gamer reference that is super applicable. See, gamers, hey,
we appeal to a broad demographic now, Rem. Thanks.
So yeah, it's a real weird scene. I was also hoping that Eugeo would actually die.
Oh yeah, no, we all were.
But not even like, he's not a great character. He's more interesting than Kirito a little bit, but also he's also bland as hell.
I mean, he's blonde Kirito, let's be real.
But it would at least show that they had invested something into him, right?
Right.
Clearly he is the least important part of the new trio of Alice, Kirito, and Eugeo, despite Eugeo having more screen time than Alice. Yep. But still, it would have been something. Nonetheless, they go back, right? Oh, they also like see an angel of Alice, or at least Kirito does. Kirito faints, wakes up, everything is all better. He goes back to cutting wood. Kirito decides he's going to try that blue rose sword, the super amazing sword, right? Because his level should have gone up. And I say level, this is simplifying it. It can't just be called level. It's an object authority level.
Oh yeah, because they have an object authority control and system authority control.
Now, here's the weird thing about that.
Yes.
So I imagine there are multiple things that have, like, it's generally, if your object authority level is higher than the object's object authority level, then you can manage it.
Yes.
But that's not just, like, for swords. That'd be for anything.
Yes.
So it's like, oh, no, yeah, guys, no, I killed a bunch of goblins. I can go manage that plow just fine. It's, what are you talking about? Like, those skills, I guess, are just directly applicable. Handling literally any object. If you are a master craftsman, right?
Right.
You're a great woodworker, congratulations, you can pick up the biggest sword around. Like, why not? Your object authority level is higher, so that's how that works, I guess.
Well, object or system, like you gotta balance.
Well, yeah, and then system authority level is that is for the sacred arts. And here, are you ready? I have a compliment, Shaun.
Oh, holy shit! I mean, I set aside a whole bit at the beginning of this part to give out compliments, but
but I had to explain backstory before I could explain this compliment because all of the jargon.
All right, you know what? Hit me with it, Rem. What is the compliment?
So they have the general thing where their sacred arts, right? Their magic is basically just fundamentally getting into the code, and like changing variables in the code, right?
Right.
Let's keep with the game references. Their Baba is Ewing the code, and that's the magic.
Wow, another on-point game reference. That's impressive.
And I think that is a pretty nifty idea.
Yeah, I mean, give them a console command.
I think it's sort of cool. Don't think about it too much, but premise-wise, idea-wise, I like that idea.
Yeah, because like if you think about it too much, you're gonna start thinking, well, why can't he just figure out a system command code to log out? You know, we're not. Maybe his control isn't high enough for that. You know, that's some pretty high level shit. So,
or who knows if it is? Because it also, following that, it also just doesn't really make sense how the hierarchy of magic works.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, some insanely powerful magic could be accomplished through very simple programming. Right? Like,
yeah, I will
change
say,
just a couple of very important variables and you can destroy the fucking world. So that would be like super easy magic following this premise, but insane consequences. But that's not how it works. So, like, don't think about it too much.
No, don't worry, Rem.
But the idea is
they do
cool.
Explain some of that in like episodes 12 and 13, and as you might imagine.
I don't like their explanations.
You're not going to like their explanation, probably.
All right.
We're not here to talk about that. That's for a distant future.
Yeah, of course. So, continuing on, Kirito can immediately hold the sword now. This legendary sword held by a mythical hero. Turns out that mythical hero, all they did was kill one goblin chief, and they were ready. So, that's all it takes. And so he holds the sword, and he swings into the tree, and he makes a deep, deep cut now that he can manage it. And he teaches Eugeo how to, and then he's like, Eugeo, you can do the final cut. But I know that I was the one who got the sword, taught you how to do the sword, showed that the sword was the way to handle things. But to give you the limelight for a moment, chop down this big old tree. That I should mention. I haven't mentioned this because I think it's really fucking stupid. This tree, people have been cutting it for 300 years daily.
Yes. Only doing like 1 point of damage a swing. And
yeah, and no, less than 1 point of damage, I think.
Yeah.
And 300 years, and nobody thought like, maybe this axe is pretty trash. Should we try and find something better?
Well, it was the only axe that wouldn't break after hitting the tree that they had, so.
Should have used a sword. And in 300 years, nobody ever tried to use anything but the one axe. Like, this axe didn't break. We're just going to keep using it. I don't know. This axe is pretty shit, though. It didn't break.
Yeah. And as we all know, using an axe and the sword is the exact same fucking thing. I'm not going to stop harping on that.
It's so bad.
It makes me so viscerally angry.
So they successfully cut down the tree, and it's an evil tree or something. Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You never see what happens after it gets cut down. You don't need to worry about that.
They have a big festival, right? And Eugeo gets to choose his new calling, and he chooses swordsman, and now he has the blue rose sword. And Eugeo tells Selka that he'll find her sister Alice and bring her back. And then Kirito and Eugeo, they leave to the central city. Cool. All right, episode 5. We're nearly an hour in, by the way, and we're about halfway through. So
yeah, no, don't worry.
I'll try to be faster, but this is like, y'all knew, you guys saw Sword Art Online in the title of this episode, and then you saw how long it was, and you're like, yeah, that tracks.
I mean, they might not have seen Sword Art Online in the episode. I don't know how Dylan's going to plan on titling this one.
They definitely should. I mean, you got to put Sword Art Online in the title for those clicks.
We gotta rake them in. But yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see how that goes out. I don't know. It'll be a treat for people that aren't us.
Episode 5, we change it up a little bit, right?
Okay.
And we go back to the real world.
Ooh. Hey.
We get to see the consequences and stuff.
Hey, Rem, that's what we wanted like throughout like all of the other seasons.
Don't get used to it.
Oh.
First of all, don't get used to it. Also, it's trash.
Oh,
Rem. I have one question, because like we got a flashback and they talk more about Death Gun and stuff. Did Death Gun ever get a motivation?
The motivation, Rem. If you
I can't remember a motivation.
Their motivation was they liked to kill people.
Oh, fuck it. Oh, my God. I hate this show.
Because, yeah, they were a member of Laughing Coffin, the guild of player killers that got massive boners from ending lives with no consequences.
I hate this show so fucking much.
And the remaining survivors were like, hey, y'all, I missed this whole killing thing. Let's grab my little brother, and the three of us will do some more killing, and we'll do it in a flashy way, and we'll feel very powerful and cool.
Cool, thanks for the reminder.
You're welcome.
So we get a flashback to like the mugging and everything, and Kirito ends up in a hospital. He gets transferred to a bunch of hospitals. He's stuck in a coma. But then his employer, and also I don't know how the fuck, like, what kind of forms did you sign, Kirito, to allow the following to happen? Because apparently, without any permission from anybody at any point, Kirito's employer is allowed to transport him to a location of his choosing out in the middle of the ocean.
No. See, what happened, Rem, was they said they were going to transfer him to a special hospital, but the ambulance never showed up at that hospital, then they just spirited him away to the ocean facility. So what they did there was illegal.
Okay, cool, just like it's.
But they did, in fact, like, for whatever reason, were like, yeah, no, take him to a good hospital. That's great. Also, he's 17, just as a reminder.
Yeah. So they take him to the middle of the ocean onto a special advanced thing where they can copy over his soul, get him linked up, send him back to the digital world. That's what we've been seeing thus far, is him back in the digital world, right?
Right.
And yeah, so that happens. We have, I guess, some detective work, even though, like, we all know what's up, where the heart rate from the app it's been out of range, so they have Yui analyze. And I will remind you, Yui, Kirito and Asuna's daughter, she is able to hack into anything at any time for any reason. Basically,
unless the plot says otherwise.
Yeah. The officers were like, man, wouldn't it be awesome if we just had magic in the real world? And we're like, yeah, but call it hacking. Like, as long as we call magic a different name, we're fine.
Yeah.
So that's what Yui's here for. Yui analyzes everything, figures out what's going on everywhere. I'm going to basically skip all the investigative shit because it's all bad.
Yep.
And then it all just explains what I explained to you in 5 seconds of they transferred him, but then they took him to their own thing attached to Soul 2.
Yep.
Cool. We meet a woman. Her name is Rinko Kajiro. Good old Rinko. She was fucking the dude behind the original SAO.
Okay. Yes, that's true. But she was also his assistant.
She was also his assistant.
And the one that was taking care of him while he was in the game world. Because, his body was trapped there too.
Yep. And so we get exposition on all of that. Asuna sends her an email asking questions, asking for some assistance. And Rinko has been commissioned to go help out with the Soul Alicization project. So she goes there, and Rinko brings an assistant, but we don't get to see the assistant's face. Oh, what's going on? And it's like the worst Ocean's 11 shitty heist where it's like once they're in and confronting the dude, Asuna just takes off a blonde wig and is like, "You have my boyfriend." It's like, okay.
I will say the top comment on on that episode is pretty great. Yeah, sneaks into high-tech secure facility in the middle of the ocean, removes disguise. Ha! I know your secret. Gets shot and tossed into the ocean. Roll credits.
I mean, yeah, there's like literally no reason why that doesn't happen, to be clear.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that like she was able to so easily bypass the top levels of security, right? Of tech security, but Yui is just able to be like, nah. What the fuck?
Look, don't think about it too hard or else you'll give yourself an aneurysm, my man.
Like, and this is like, this is a tech company, one of the biggest tech companies one of the biggest, most powerful tech companies around. Yui can do fucking anything, dude.
Unless the plot says otherwise, Rem.
Yeah.
Don't you remember everything that happened in the second half of the first season?
Oh, I fucking hate this shit. Episode 6, we get, now we transition into the expert explaining the world and all of the jargon about the soul and all that, which we've covered multiple times, but let's just hear it for like a solid 5 minutes now.
But hey, Rem, you also get questions of what is living thrown in on top of it.
Oh god, yeah, they're like, what is life? And they have that terrible like, well, I mean, even if it's completely sentient and completely a person and does in fact feel pain and pleasure and has a mind just as complex as our own, I mean, they aren't like physical people, so fuck them, right? It's the same thing, like, you've seen a billion times. It feels very much, David Cage, what was it called?
Detroit Become Human?
Yeah, it feels very much Detroit Become Human, where it's like, well, we're supposed to be bigoted, so here we are. We're just being bigoted. And the good guys are going to be like, well, that's obviously fucked up. But the bad guys are going to be like, no, because I'm a baddie.
Is it okay if we drop the spicy hot take that I don't think either of us enjoyed Detroit Becoming Human?
No, it's trash. It's beautiful.
It is very pretty. But it is objectively garbage.
It's David Cage.
Yeah. He has great ideas.
But not even that. Often he has interesting ideas.
Yes. Interesting is a better word for it.
Yeah. So we get more of that exposition. A lot of exposition. They want to copy newborn souls into the seed and grow them up there. And also use it for military purposes. I'll be honest, with all of the exposition dump, I sort of lost the plot here. It was just...
Here, I can summarize for you. Essentially, what they want is to create true AI. And the AI that had been created...
Which, can we talk a moment, like, being like, oh, we want to create true sentient AI, which also has already existed in this world canonically.
Yes,
but they're like, no, but this is like truer than true. This is like the realer than real.
Yeah, the way they explain it, Rem, is what has been created to this point is top down, which means that it's like a feat of programming. And it's not perfect because you can't use it to kill people, is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
So they're trying to do it bottom up by taking like what is essentially human souls and they're basically making child soldiers without the bodies. That's what they're doing. That's their goal.
And then they're like, we can fight wars without death but also with, I don't...
Yeah, no, there's still gonna be death, like, because, I mean, hey, y'all, guess what? If you put a soul in a machine, guess what? That soul is probably still alive to an extent.
Like, their ideology makes no sense, but they talk about it like, they explain it in way too much detail that makes no sense.
Also, this does still appear to be a world that has not seen any wars recently, from what we can tell.
Yeah,
Because all
it's
we know
amazing.
about this world is what Kirito has seen.
Yep. So...
Oh, by the way,
can-
apparently, this is only gonna happen a couple years from now. So, and apparently,
Yeah,
Sword
get
Art Online
fucking
is
ready,
happening
dude.
this year. So, like, we got to be prepared, man.
The ensemble briefly chats about all of this that's going on. Okay, cool. More exposition. I'm just skimming through my notes, and it's all exposition in this episode.
Oh yeah, no, for like 5 and 6 is nothing but exposition. You're fine.
Oh, okay, here we go. At one point, Asuna and Rinko, they have a chat about Kaiba, the guy, the one who committed genocide.
Kaya,
And whatever.
You're
and
mistaking
then-
him for the amazing card game player.
Oh, such a more interesting character easily. So Rinko is like, I know that I really fucked up. And I was gonna kill him, but I just couldn't. And I'm really struggling. And at the end, like, she'll have a dream of him or something, or maybe it's real. Who knows? Ooh, mysterious. But then Asuna.
It's
in one
okay,
of the-
Rem. This is a safe place. You can say it.
In one of the worst pieces of dialogue I've ever heard.
Yes.
Ever, I think.
I
Asuna wants to comfort Rinko and is like, hey, even though you helped to commit literal genocide on thousands of people, causing unimaginable pain, and let's be clear, you were complicit in that. However, I did find my boyfriend in that game. So maybe it's not all bad. What the? That is not how you said that message.
I mean, that's how the phrase goes, right? Needs of the few outweigh the needs of the many.
It's like being like, look, I understand that Hitler was a bad dude. However, one of the survivors is my grandma, and I love her. What the fuck are you talking about? What are you? Are you out of your fucking mind? It's like the worst handled, most tone deaf line. I genuinely, my jaw dropped to the floor. Like, it went down. I could not fathom what the fuck was going on.
And this all could have been avoided if Reki had a real reason for Kayaba doing what the fuck he did in the first
Because even,
place.
like, you might think, oh, well, we might get a reason because before, right?
Yeah.
The big bad, when they got to the top, it was like, I don't even remember anymore, right?
Right.
But that implies that there was a reason initially, so we get a flashback, and Rinko was like, hey, so why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Right? Like, what is this all gonna be for? And even then, he's like, I don't know, dude. Who the fuck knows what's going on? What the fuck is this show? Reki, you are fucking with me. You are just fucking with me, sir. Anyway, the only other weird thing in this episode is that we learned that the Fluctlight, which is the soul, basically,
Which is
is
still
also
a very stupid name.
apparently it's a quantum field now. Just because they were like, I don't know, throw a little bit more jargon at it.
Hey, yeah, if you say anything that's like fifth dimension quantum physics, the sci-fi nerds will eat that shit up and be like, oh yeah, that makes sense, even though that doesn't make any fucking sense, and they're just agreeing because it makes them sound smart.
It's like, this seems like a really dumb plot hole. But quantum field. Oh, fuck yeah. All right, no, okay, I'm in now. So episode 7. It's also been established that the Alicization world moves a lot faster than the real world.
Yes.
Right?
Because they
So
can
that's-
manipulate the soul easier, which
I don't know.
y'all, this could have been done with the brain. That's all I'm saying.
Genuinely, they really felt the need for some type of power creep, but in the sense it's like realism creep, but they had already gone to the top, right?
Right.
Whereas power creep can theoretically be unlimited, the like realism scale, it caps at 100%, and they already did it. So there's just no room to move
one
here,
thing
but they did it anyway.
One thing that we're probably gonna get an email about that I'm gonna nip it in the bud right now. Part of the reason she did what she did was because she had a bomb placed in her chest as well. Rinko.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because we get a very long shot of a scar and like both of her boobs.
But then I think she has some dialogue that she's like, she was very confident all along that it wouldn't go off or some shit.
Yeah, no, like she's still complicit, but she did still have a bomb in her chest. Like that's like those are the two. That's just so we don't get the emails. I'm not saying it's a good reason. I'm just saying it's,
but yeah,
it's just something that we should bring up.
People will think that it for some reason refutes our points.
It doesn't.
Because and genuinely I've learned this. If I make a point, but I don't mention something tangentially relevant to that point, people will bring it up even though it doesn't refute what I said.
Which is why I just brought it up.
Yes. So continuing on, we go back into the Alicization Soul world. Eugeo and Kirito, they wake up and we see that they're in the central city. So it's very clear that like time has passed. They have different outfits. But in case you were confused, right? In case you're like, whoa, why are they in a different setting with different clothes? I've never seen a time skip before, especially not in Sword Art Online, especially after they explain that time moves faster in that world. Oh man, in case somehow all of that was missed. One of the first pieces of dialogue is that they're walking down a market, right? And one turns to the other and is like, wow, I can't believe it's been 2 years since we left that village and went to the central city. Oh yeah, and do you remember all that stuff that's happened in the meanwhile? I hate this show, dude. So, including one of the things that happened was apparently they both competed in a sword tournament and they both won. I don't know how both of them won. I don't know how that works. But both of them, it was not a tag team tournament, to be clear. It was 1-on-1, but both of them won. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, no,
but
let me just reiterate. Volumes 9 through 14 of the light novels. So, and I haven't read the light novels because I don't hate myself that much. I'm willing to bet that we probably skipped a whole novel.
Wouldn't it have been nice if with all if you just removed like a third of all of the exposition and we had an episode or two on that sword tournament? Could have been interesting. Probably wouldn't have been, but would have been more interesting than exposition. Probably.
Either way, a 2-year time skip is quite a lot. Considering this is the second time this has happened.
Well, and once again, especially with how it's handled.
Yes.
Because it's one thing to have a 2-year time skip, but then you're like, okay, so we can see the growth. And it's like, well, no, we still want to like show you everything that happened, but like in a shitty way. It's like, okay.
Yeah, no.
Cool,
One
dude.
Piece has a time skip and it's beloved. So everything that has a time skip these days is like, time skips are cool now, right? It's not.
We meet Liena, who is the mentor of Kirito. And we learn something else about this world, about the swordplay, Shaun. And it's that confidence boosts your power to an extreme degree. Basically, you know, the creators of Alicization, they had read The Secret and just wanted to make it a game mechanic. They were like, yeah, if you believe you can win, you probably have a much stronger ability to. And then later, it's like not just confidence, but any strong emotion and imagination.
Yeah. No,
even like conceit or some shit.
Rem, it wasn't The Secret they read. It was Gurren Lagann that they watched, which I still stand by does it way better. And in a more meaningful way, because the show is about confidence, which I'm not going to listen to any thoughts you might have on that right now, because I don't need to get angry at you. I need to focus all my anger at the show.
I'll give the hot take. Gurren Lagann, better than Sword Art Online.
I'll take it for now. I'll take it for now. I'll take it for now.
So we hear that Kirito spars with Liena, right? And Kirito now, for some big reason, isn't the best swordsman of all time. This is using the egg engine.
Yes.
So like Kirito has his skills. He has his ability. But for some reason he sort of doesn't sometimes.
I hate to break it to you, bud, but it's mostly because you're gonna hate this. He's mostly holding back.
Yeah, and that's brought up where
Yeah.
like, oh, his teacher wins, and at first it's like, oh yeah, so cool, but then his teacher's like, oh, but I know that the only reason I won is you're actually like you're like so talented. Actually, you're like, oh my god, you're amazing. So yeah, we have that shit.
Yeah,
Um,
no, and also, yeah, I
And
guess-
why is he holding back?
Why
Cause
Cuz? Yeah, cuz.
that's it. Like it is established he's holding back. Never for a reason.
Yeah, also, like,
Genuinely, I think the reason is like to make the audience feel like he's less overpowered sometimes.
yeah, which is hilarious because, like, after watching the series and scouring comments on individual episodes, everybody's like, y'all, just give him a second sword already.
Yeah. Which speaking of, he ends up in this episode also. He needs a nice dark blade, right? So using the cursed tree from before, blacksmith is able to turn it into a nice dark sword for him. Because we can't have anything different. And so he gets that sword, and the blacksmith is like, but it's gonna cost you unless you can lift it up, and then I'll give it to you for free. And so that is what happens. We also get some exposition from Liana talking about this guy Volo, right? And Volo, oh man, he is just so damn talented, and Liana is gonna have to compete against him at the end of the school term or whatever. But he's real good and dangerous, right? We also meet a couple of other characters, Rias and Humbert. And so Rice and Humbert, their characters are, wow, they're such assholes. And that's it. That's it. That's what they do. We will be talking about them more later.
And it'll involve a content warning. We haven't had one of those in a while.
Yup. So all this shit happens, and now, and I still think this is real dumb, Kirito tries for a 5-hit combo with his new sword and can't quite make it, which is still... I think I talked shit on this in like original SAO and how it feels like it doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
The
explanation for it is either he doesn't have enough willpower mixed with his sword is not quite good enough. Those are the two big reasons right there.
Which neither make sense.
No.
Nonetheless, at that moment, Volo shows up, and Kirito stains Volo's jacket, and so Volo's like, all right, you would normally get punished real bad, but I'll tell you what, let's have a friendly little spar. Except it's not a friendly spar. We get some weird exposition about how Volo has a family rule that the blood of others empowers his sword. All right, sure. And that's why he likes to use real swords. And so the match starts, and immediately Volo starts with Secret Skill Avalanche. And... let me describe Secret Skill Avalanche, all right? He holds a sword in two hands, right? And we see this happen 2 or 3 times as we see Volo.
Yep.
Two-handed sword, right?
Yep.
Lift it up above your head, straight up, right?
Yep.
Hold.
Okay, doing it.
Keep holding.
All right, I got it. My arms are getting tired, but I'm holding it.
Yeah, hold for longer than you think reasonable in a sword battle where you are leaving everything vulnerable.
Copy.
And then finally strike down.
All right, copy. I see the problem.
And it's like, that's just like his default position. He's holding it way up over his head and waiting, I guess.
Yeah.
And he stays there, like, there's awkward pauses where he's just chilling like that. Nonetheless, Kirito goes in and they spar, and he tries to deflect the shot, but Volo's entire family, their powers behind this strike. So Kirito, I'm being completely honest when I say this, uses the powers of imagination and friendship to power up his blade, and he strikes Volo once, and then a draw is called immediately. The match is stopped. No, I don't really understand exactly why.
Oh yeah, not only that, man, but it also makes his sword longer.
Yeah, it does. It makes the sword longer. You know, imagination and friendship. Hey. Who needs anything else when you got those? Am I right?
Yeah. Hey, you got to make your sword longer somehow. That's a good way to do it.
So yeah, the match is ended and called in a draw. And Liana is like, well, like multiple characters are like, wow. Liana goes up to him and is like, wow, it was amazing to see a fight with all of your power. Motherfucker did one move. Like, Kirito did one proper strike, and Leanna's like, holy shit, I've never seen anybody swing a sword before. The power is unbelievable.
Wait till she sees he has two swords, except doesn't, because
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, Rem. Where I'm at right now, they're just waiting for an excuse for Eugeo to give Kirito
Oh,
his
yeah,
sword.
yeah.
Like, they're just
Oh, yeah.
waiting for that moment, and they are. Oh, it's gonna be so masturbatory when it happens.
Yup. So, we get exposition on different styles with Leanna. Essentially, there's a bunch of different styles. How are they different? Shut up. Then, at one point, Kirito runs into the posh bullies, Rios and Humbert, at night, and they're like, oh, here's a gift. And it's flowers that Kirito was taking care of. You may think, wait, when was Kirito taking care of flowers? Aha! There was one scene where he was taking care of flowers. That's it. And then there's like some long exposition about everything the flowers mean to him now that they're ruined.
Yeah.
Like, once again, would have been cool if this had been like, we should feel like it's impactful in the moment that it's given, not Kirito checks, he goes, sees his flowers are ruined. He thinks, oh man, this is actually like really sad because actually these flowers were super meaningful. I don't know if you guys knew, they're actually like super meaningful, so this is fucked up. And then he starts crying, and a voice from the heavens opens up and uses glowing flower magic to make all of the flowers glow, and his flowers are reborn. Cool. Fast forward a little bit, Leanna is fighting against Volo, and she beats him, and she graduates top ranked. And then Kirito and Eugeo become elite disciples. So they get promoted to what like Leanna and Volo were at. And we move on. Now, if that all felt insanely rushed, it is.
Yep.
It is wildly rushed, that bit. But hey, we got glowing flowers. Episode 9. We're almost there, y'all. We're
almost there.
We're getting so
Almost there,
close.
and almost to the longest part of the discussion yet, probably.
Yeah, I will say, like I say, we're almost there. Episode 10's going to take a minute, but
Yeah.
episode 9, we'll try to move on through here. And
it's more Stephen King bully shit.
I guess we should do the content warning now because the themes are introduced.
Yes.
In episode 9.
Yeah. So, content warning. If you are at all sensitive to the discussion of sexual assault, y'all, it's okay to leave the podcast here, because we're going to probably talk about the most egregious example of sexual assault in this entire anime. And
you'll already recall, like, this anime, it's tried before.
Yes, on several occasions, and has been very bad on several occasions. And what's coming up is easily the worst, stacked on top of the fact that I'll even sprinkle this little nugget in right now. Reki Kawahara himself has apologized to the VAs of the people involved because of how he wrote this originally.
Thank God. You know what? Good.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't think
Reki's
Reki's a bad dude. I just think he's an awful author.
Eugeo and Kirito talk about like what drives them, right? Sort of like talking about how confidence was initially the thing that led to power, but also we can see like people have different stuff, imagination, power, conceit, whatever. Eugeo decides he's driven by Alice, basically.
Yep. The power of boners saves us again.
Yep. Rios and Humbert talk shit to Eugeo, and Eugeo challenges Humbert to a little bit of a spar, which Eugeo gets the upper hand, but Rios calls it in a draw and is like, no, stop. There's a scene, a really forced scene, where Kirito teaches Eugeo the English phrase, stay cool. And it's really forced, and and it's like, oh yeah, no, it just means like be calm. It's sometimes like a way to say goodbye, and they have a moment where it's like, oh, but you don't like say it every time to say goodbye, just for like the real goodbyes. So they're going to have some like quote unquote emotional moment later, I can almost guarantee it, where Eugeo will then tell Kirito to stay cool, and they'll be like, oh no, because it's a real goodbye, oh my god, so touching. But this scene is like super forced.
I'll tell you right now, I completely forgot about it until you mentioned it, which is not a good thing to do when you've been watching the show like recently.
Yeah. They now Kirito and Eugeo, they have their own pages, their own people that they're mentoring, right? And so they have a picnic with them. And their pages, let me describe them for a moment. So Kirito's page, so that sums her up. And Yuji...
No. She also likes Kirito.
And then Eugeo's page doesn't want to get married unless it's to Eugeo. So that covers it.
Yeah. I mentioned
Jen,
fridging earlier.
once again, I wish I was exaggerating here. That is their characterization. At this picnic, we get way too much exposition about nobility and ranks.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, why is this all here? And it's here to, like, poorly justify how episode 10 is written. But it's, like, really shitty anyway. Like, it's there to make it seem like episode 10 makes any sense, but it still doesn't really.
Right.
And it's, like, way too much bullshit exposition about the nobility ranks. Then, at one point, the young girls who are the pages, they ask a favor to help another page, Frenica, because her elite disciple, Humbert, is being an asshole. And they're like, oh yeah, what's going on? And Kirito has one scene where he's like, hey, y'all, civil disobedience, sometimes you gotta break the rules, and that's the right thing. And the show feels, like, really proud of it. Like, the show feels about as proud as this as it did about, like, being like, hey, maybe if AI is completely sentient and has feelings and emotions and is, like, a person, maybe we should take that into consideration. And, like, thinking it's such a bold and novel proclamation, right? It thinks it's doing the same thing here. Reki read Civil Disobedience by Thoreau and was like, holy shit. No one has ever thought these things before.
Yeah.
And with Frenica, at this point, it's just heavily implied, though later it's outright stated, that Humbert is abusing his authority to make Frenica do sexual favors for him. And so, let me give you all a heads up. What is the worst way you can imagine on how to handle this case where someone confronts you and says, hey, I have a friend who is being abused. Can you help? Now, let me tell you what you under no circumstances want to do, while also saying what the show does. They just sort of go hand in hand here.
Yeah, you might see some parallels.
So, what you don't want to do is just decide to immediately go and confront the abusers. Eugeo and Kirito go to confront Rias and Humbert. And then be like, hey, so we heard from these exact people what you are doing, and that's sort of messed up. So that's what you don't want to do, especially because often that can lead to the abuse getting escalated, which, in this case as well, it does. And Rias and Humbert are like, it's fine. Not even anything to worry about, right? And Eugeo gets frustrated, but then Eugeo and Kirito leave. And they're like, hey, we may have to, like, bring it up to authorities or something at some point, maybe, if things don't change. So Eugeo and Kirito leave, and Eugeo once again talks to his page about Frenica and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh, I don't think you need to worry about those guys. I had a brief conversation making the accusations, and they denied. They said it wasn't even a big deal, so I'm sure they'll stop doing it. What? Excuse me?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
So yeah, here's a little tip. You need to go to authorities as soon as possible. First step, right? Help victim, right? If there's anything you can do to directly help the victim, especially if it is a situation that is, like, active and dangerous, right? If you can help to remove them from an actively dangerous scenario, or at least help them emotionally in whatever ways you can, right? Perfect. That's priority number one. Priority number two, there needs to be some sense of accountability or authority. Abusers will almost never just get better by themselves. You need to hold their feet to the fire, and that usually needs some level of authority behind it. What's not going to work is a very gentle heart-to-heart where you're like, hey, that's pretty fucked up. That's not gonna do much, and it can make things a whole lot worse.
And guess what it does in this case?
Yeah. So, the scene continues on a little bit more where the Eugeo's page basically asks Eugeo to marry her later. All right, cool, whatever. Now we get to episode 10, boy, oh boy. It was a dark and stormy day. That I'm not fucking with you. That's how we open episode 10. And the pages, the girls are nowhere to be seen. Kirito decides to go investigate a little bit. Eugeo stays back, and Frenica arrives, and she talks to Eugeo. And there's a weird moment where Eugeo's like, "Who the fuck are you?"
Yeah.
Despite this is a school, right, with not a ton of people there.
No, not many people
And
get
somehow,
the swordsman calling.
Yeah, and somehow Eugeo has just never met Frenica.
Yeah.
Sure. But he
or
sees
know
her,
who the
he's
heck they're talking about, even though they're friends with his personal page and his
yeah, it's
best
like, what the fuck is
personal
going on
page.
here?
Yeah.
So they chat, and Frenica's like, oh yeah, the other girls went to go talk to Humbert and Rias on my behalf because things have continued and have just gotten worse. Like, things didn't stop because of course they didn't. And all right. How to talk about this next bit? Eugeo goes, he confronts Humbert and Rias, and they go and they bring Eugeo to the bedroom, where on the bedroom, tied up, are the girls. And the bullies are like, you can't break the taboo index, which, as it has been like sort of loosely defined, means you can't do anything against what I say because I am nobility.
Yeah, like, Rem, I have all the known tenets, let's say, of the taboo index on hand. Would you like me to read them to you?
Sure.
Okay, so...
Because the show thus far doesn't.
Yes, they casually drop a few things here and there.
They drop them when they're relevant.
Yes.
They're like, shit, look, this is going to be plot relevant in a minute, so
yes.
You should know it.
So, 1 second. All right. So the way it works, Rem, is that every artificial fluctlight in this world adheres to the taboo index, which is hard-coded into their right eye. And they cannot physically...
Oh, so that's what the fuck happens.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes. And they cannot physically defy...
Wait a fucking minute. Then why did nothing happen to Alice when she broke the taboo index? Alright, I didn't do shit.
Yeah, like, it's one of those things where sometimes bad writing happens. And I think it's just a general case of it's possible to accidentally break a taboo, but it's not possible to, like, actively break it, usually. Unless there's enough willpower. Because, again, everything is powered by willpower.
I hate everything.
So that's what the shit is going on with the anime code eye there. Here are the known clauses, and even the wiki is like, hey, these are the ones that we actually know. You gotta be loyal to the Axiom Church. That's the government there.
Okay, yeah.
Unless another clause applies, you cannot reduce the life points of another person. Okay. You may not claim an item that belongs to others without permission. It only applies to humans. All children must be taught the clauses of the index, which is wild because some of them happen automatically, apparently. Not anyone, you're not allowed to go past the mountain range at the edge of the human empire, so the dark territory.
Yeah.
I shit you not, this is one that'll definitely come up later, and you're gonna lose your fucking mind if it does. One cannot kiss another person's lips unless they are married.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, no, I shit you not, that is one written here. You can't enter any swamps that are the source of diseases. You can't hunt more animals than permitted. You cannot abandon your sacred tasks during work days. You cannot take up too many tasks, whatever that means. One cannot hunt for animals if they have the sacred task of hunt, unless they have... Yeah, you have to be a sacred task of hunter if you want to hunt. So that first one about hunting animals doesn't make any sense, really.
Yeah.
Deliberately destroying items that are sold in a shop is against the taboo index. It is against the taboo index to not pay for an item that was broken accidentally. The owner can excuse an accidentally broken item, and then the taboo index isn't broken. You cannot run away after committing a crime. Deliberately destroying goods that belong to others against the taboo index. Obstructing the noble's right to judge is not allowed. Those are all of them. And
so when this falls in obstructing the noble's right to judge, which you may think, listeners, what exactly does that mean? I don't really know myself.
And there's apparently like local sub-laws as well. And so the fact of the matter is like, hey, because they're nobles and they outrank you, they can just say, hey, I'm using this right. You can't do shit, so you have to stay put.
Which I don't know, man. Plus, what I also don't like about all of this
Yes.
is I hate when it's like, oh, they're bad. How do you know they're bad? Well, they do nothing but be bad and kill puppies, and that's them. Oh man, look how bad they are. One, super bland characterization. Two, not how that works in real life. And then three, leads to scenes like this. So continuing on, Eugeo and Humbert are like, yeah, we're gonna rape these girls and you're gonna watch and you can't
Correction,
stop
not
us.
Eugeo and Humbert. Reyes.
No, yeah, not Eugeo.
Like that. Big difference there, bud. Big difference
Eugeo
there.
has a crazy character changer. No, yeah, Reyes and Humbert say that, and Eugeo just has to watch, and I'm a noble, so fuck you.
Yes.
And so Eugeo's physically stopped, kind of. And the scene lasts way too fucking long, dude.
Yeah, and it's framed in a very unfortunate way, is the way I will phrase it.
Yeah, it's just handled absolutely horrendously.
It's almost cartoonish in effect.
Yeah,
which is
I'm not gonna get
no.
into the nitty gritty, but it's like super fucked up, and the show knows that it's fucked up, but still doesn't handle it tactfully, right? It's like you're going and you're talking about like a real serious issue, right?
Yeah.
And so you're like, hey, war, it decimates families. People lose the ones they love. And then you have like a cartoon Satan pop up and he attacks everybody. And it's like, I understand that you think you're pointing out how bad this is, but you, with all due respect, you don't know shit about shit, and you're not doing this responsibly. It's like, this isn't the way you send the message you think you're sending. So, and then overall, I will just add to this. I truly hate how Sword Art Online, every season, treats gender relations, right?
Ooh, yeah.
Because it's like, hey, we have powerful women, right? They're capable, but then it's also like, but like any actual woman is reliant on a man, and like super damsel in distress, and also subject to sexual assault often, that the boys need to save them from, and that's just how that goes. Like, the gender relationships of Sword Art Online are so dumb and reductionist, and like not just wrong of reality, not just morally wrong, but also just wrong for storytelling. Like, it is wrong on all of those fronts.
And not to mention the fact that the gross fact of the word is these page characters were essentially written so that Kirito and Eugeo would have a reason to break the index.
Yeah, to be clear, in case we haven't made it evident enough, the purpose of these two girls, who, as I've established, they have no character, their purpose is to get sexually assaulted by two guys whose purpose is to sexually assault them. Like, the bullies don't have more characterization than this. The pages don't have more characterization than this. These are all just characters that exist for this scene. This is exclusively why they were written. That's terrible writing, and also what the fuck.
Yeah. Like, y'all, it says something that Reki himself has come out and apologized, like, about this. Like, you know, it's bad when an author is like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah, whoopsie.
Whoops, I made a mistake, and I made a lot of money off of this. I should apologize.
Like, think of the rest of Sword Art that he hasn't apologized for. That, like,
yeah.
So, Eugeo finally is able to break the taboo index, and his fucking eye explodes. His eye explodes because the errors and whatnot. He chops off Humbert's arm, and there's a bunch of blood. And once again, like, the blood that's here, this is a shock scene, right? That's the purpose. It's, look at all of this blood. Look at this despicable thing that's happening. This show, it's a cheap shock scene that's poorly written, and that's it. Rios is like, oh, okay, well, now I can kill Eugeo. Perfect. Which it should also be pointed out. The only reason the girls exist and this is happening is because the boys are like, we were going to get back you, Eugeo. That's it. That's the purpose. Because once again, the girls, they are just a plot device.
Yeah.
Very openly.
I mean, and we do get to see something that's kind of graphic. We do get to see Eugeo's face explode.
Yeah, Eugeo's face explodes. He chops off the arm. Then Rios is right about to behead Eugeo, who now can't do anything again, I guess. But he saved at the last minute by Kirito. And then Kirito, he chops off the hands of Rias, and Rias ends up dying. And then the naked, bald judgment portal opens up and is like, cool, there's been a murder, which has been what the dude behind this has been waiting for all this time. Then we move on. The next day, it's like, oh, they might like get in some major trouble or something. They wake up the next day. Who knows what the fuck happened to the pages? Fuck them. Who knows? Just disregard them, you know? They heal Eugeo's eye, and they're like, all right, you gotta go meet someone else now. And they go, and they're like, we're gonna go to the tower, and one day we're gonna become Integrity Knights and meet Alice. But then they just meet Alice, and she's a Golden Knight now. And that's how we end episode 10.
Yeah, so that, like, let me just break down why my gut instinct was 10 episodes for this part of Alicization. One, covering the most egregious scene in the whole series so far.
Yeah.
Is important. And two, it's the best stopping point because it's this end of the quote-unquote second arc of this season. And y'all, it doesn't feel good to watch this. I am okay with liking things.
Yep.
I mean, there are lots of, like, objectively not good shows that I enjoy. And same goes for Remington, too. There are probably a lot of things out there that Rem enjoys that can objectively considered not good.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, even something that commonly gets misconstrued, right, is usually on this show, I'm talking about two things. One, is it a well-done show? Two, do I like this show, right?
Right.
Those are separate criteria.
Right.
And often I'll be like, this show is trash, right? And often that can impact my enjoyment, but it's not a one-to-one relationship. I can enjoy trash. And there's many times where I'll talk about how a show is trash, and people will be like, hey, but I like it. And I'm like, yeah, but you agreed with all of my points. Like, we don't disagree here. You just have different preferences.
Yeah.
Is the thing.
And I feel like this is probably a universal, like, episode 10 of this series is a universal example of what I would say is probably not okay to like.
Yeah, and once again, it is not because it has these themes.
No.
Or even necessarily like these scenes, these things that happen. It is because of how it is all handled, and from start to finish, for every reason,
yeah,
they fuck it up.
And
big time.
One minor critique that I'm fairly certain is never going to be explained. You know what's missing from the taboo index there, Remington?
Like almost any other moral laws. Like plenty of moral laws, including, you know.
Yeah, the most egregious
assault.
One is sexual assault, yeah. Yeah, and I from what little I know of the creation of the taboo index, because back when I did this research back in 2019, 2018, I think is actually when it first started. You know, back when we started this podcast, I only made it to like episode 15 originally. Because I was like, yeah, that's probably more than enough for right now. I don't think we'll get any here that quickly. So I don't know how the season ends yet. I'm going to finish it probably tonight after we're done recording, against my better judgment. And something tells me, like in the back of my skull, that if we get any like more insight on the creation of the taboo index, there's not going to be a good reason as to why so many moral things were left out. Especially considering, I will tell you this right now, the main ruler of this whole like church and world is in fact a female.
What the fuck? Yeah, that makes it less excusable. Like, I mean, you can say, hey, a lot of old religious rules and whatnot, like even the 10 Commandments doesn't say shit about any sexual assault, which I would also critique.
Yeah.
But I would also point out, my boy, this could have been written differently. Like, this doesn't. Oh God.
It's
I don't know, man. I'm fucked up.
It is genuinely soul draining, and this is supposed to be a comedy podcast.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, like, it's bad. It's really bad. And guys, if you're like, the only thing that you can think of is like, oh, but it makes us hate the guys, and and we're supposed to not like that. If you're uncomfortable during this scene, you're not uncomfortable because you hate the two people committing the act. You're uncomfortable because the whole scene is very poorly written.
Yeah, and I'll also say, the guys, once again, as I mentioned, the bullies are also poorly written. Their whole purpose is, wow, look at us, we are assholes. Their entire purpose is to exist for this scene, not the other way around. This scene doesn't build up them as characters. This is what they were built for.
And that's just not okay. If this is supposed to be a fun, lighthearted popcorn show, you can't do that shit. And if the show's trying to do something serious, it's gotta handle serious matters in a serious manner. It's just unfortunate, is all I'm gonna say about it. Because there's not much else me and Remington can say. Just understand that, y'all, this is where this show drops the ball the fucking hardest. And that's saying a lot, considering how much of this fucking show we've seen.
Pretty fucking rough.
But that in mind, Remington, what are your final thoughts on everything you've seen so far?
Yup, it's Sword Art.
What do you think of the people whose claims that this is the best season so far?
Y'all are out of your fucking minds. Yo, I am trying to think how one could form that opinion, right?
Right.
Because to like this show, to like this season, you need to be sympathetic to Sword Art tendencies. But if you're sympathetic to Sword Art tendencies, I don't know what like this season has that the others don't.
It's prettier.
It's prettier. And this isn't just saying like, oh, I don't like it so other people can't. No, I'm struggling to think of why anybody, let alone many people, would rank this significantly higher than any of the others.
Yeah.
I can't think of why that would be.
Yeah, and I will say I think people are also saying the same thing about the season right after this one, which is just a continuation of the events of this stuff, as far as I know. I don't know many details about it, but every email we've gotten asking us to continue Sword Art Online since we dropped our last Sword Art Online episode has been like, hey, y'all, Alicization is the best it gets, and it gets really good in, I believe the next season's called War of the Underworld or something like that. So it's like, hey, y'all, it only gets better from here. Genuinely, I'm having a hard time. I'm having a hard time figuring that out. And I'm the one who's usually sympathetic with the weebs.
Yup. See, and here's the thing. But man, our Sword Art Online episodes always last so long. Not just because you have me watch more of it, though that contributes. But once again, because in every episode, there's something specific and different to harp on, right?
Yeah. That's why these episodes are so interesting to do.
It's like, there's always something new. For better or worse, and almost always worse.
All right, Reb. Any guesses on the Mal score for Alicization?
People think it's 7.8. People think it's the fucking best fucking one.
All right. So I'm going to restore a little bit of faith in humanity for you. Not much. Not much. Don't get your hopes too high. Little bit of faith. With 520,000 ratings, Sword Art Online Alicization is sitting at 7.56.
Still way too high, but, you know.
Like I said, little bit. Like that's
I'll take what I can get, I
that's
guess.
4/10 knocked off of your prediction, which is, hey, pretty good. But with that in mind, thank you all so much for tuning in. It was a long one this time. But if you enjoyed listening to us trying desperately to explain why Sword Art Online is one of the most unfortunate series in existence, then you can head on over to wherever you get your podcasts. I skipped whether or not you'd want to watch more again, Remington, but let's be real.
Yeah, I don't.
You don't. You don't. And you wouldn't have done this if the roll of the dice hadn't gone this way. And I'm going to tell you right now, Remington, I've removed Sword Art Online from the chart for now. I've shifted Attack on Titan to the natural 1 position because that's a natural 1 now, essentially. And I've replaced the natural 2 spot with something good.
Yes, good.
Just because the more good things on that list, the higher chance the next time we do a dice roll, it's going to be in your favor. Because, bud, your luck can't be this bad constantly. So, yes. If you enjoyed watching us suffer through the tragedy that is RNG, then you can head on over to wherever you get your podcasts, whether that be Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, and leave us a review. They mean the world to us, and we do read every single one. But if that is not enough, you can head on over to twitch.tv/animeoutofcontext, where myself, Remington, and Dylan occasionally play video games, and lately I've been playing a lot of Elden Ring. Yes, I know I have a problem. But if that is not enough for you, you can head on over to patreon.com/animeoutofcontext, where you can gain access to all kinds of lovely bonus material, including the opportunity to be personally thanked on the show by Remington. So, Remington, who are we thanking this week?
As always, we'd like to send our regards to our bland bitch protagonists and our magical girls who we really appreciate. But moving on. All right, I got this.
You got
I'm
this,
so
man. We're
fucked
almost
up
there.
right now, dude.
Don't worry, I've got something good for you planned next week. I promise.
We would like to thank our yandere waifus who are surgically implanting a bomb to go off if we ever leave them. And on that list, we have Alex, Zionist Demon School of Law and Home Defense for Home Rule, Xanax, Yontosaurus Rex, Yandere Neko, you hear, why Shaun, what are you doing, Step Shaun? Walk me home gently, wacky hypotheticals, update on the proposal, she said yes, it's all coming together now, mwahaha, I mean yay, so yeah, that's the thing. Juliana, Trenton Farrell, Totally God, Titan CNH, Tim Westy, The Susanator, that film guy, that was the worst throw ever of all time, Tetsuo 13, Silent Secondary, should I tell you what new White Sword sets are coming out soon? I don't know unless the guy paying me to say this tells me. Shaft is producing a Ruby adaptation, so my Yang cosplay will be relevant again. Shaun, can you give me a masculine meow for me, please? If not, Dylan, please insert one.
Yeah. There you go.
He's done.
That's the best I can do on short notice.
School Days and Claned for the Fields, Salty Pretzel, Run, She's a Ghost and a Bitch, Ross Palmer, Rhiannon Williams, Rem is a Bland Bitch Tsundere protagonist, Remington Merrill, Remington and Shaun, it's up to you to be funny or I'm giving up and dropping out of school. No waifu, no lifu, Nick Harvey, Nando the Mando, My Afro Ate My Dog, Mr. Marshmallow Man, Mike the Mutilator, Mikaika 7 Hierto, Matthew Drum says Shaun's a bitch, Matt02 Max, Luke Offenberger, Kazu Morocco, Casey Mosley, Cassidy, Just a Traveler, Julian Garcia, Jax, Jamance, it's Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Oh, no.
Oh, God. Oh, I didn't think about
my
that.
God.
I didn't fucking think about that. Oh, fuck.
Holy
God.
Let me follow up with, it's Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Let's watch some ecchi BS.
Oh, fuck. I think that hurt worse than watching the anime.
You fucked me up. You dumb fucked me up. Good.
Hey, it's the dice this time. It's not me, it's the dice.
I, Remington, redact my statements on Toradora. Also, hey, Dylan, wanna fuck ooh. I wanna drown in Rem's poop juice. I want Rem to ruin Darling in the Franks for me. I, Remington, enjoy Moe Lolly Girls. I guess you're on Keter duty. I can lend you a hand if you need it, says Miska as she lets out a sigh. Hunter Davies. Hey, everyone, come check out my new podcast, Anime Talk with Rem, where I, Remington Chase, finally admit that I'm a massive wee. It just cuts off to be there, so... hashtag Jordan was right. I understand that the weebs will side with him, however, also, no one has addressed my points, though. Glenn Michael Dolan, fuck of love Foxen Boy. First we had Letus Venus, then Biggest Dickus, now we have present Deletus Fetus, and now we present Deletus Fetus, brought to you by Gugus Gagas. See, what fucks me up every time is that the P is capitalized.
Yeah.
Finally got my husband to admit that a boy love anime has a cute romance story, now to make him watch Dakaichi and ruin that thought. Farmer Weeb's bad pickup line of the Weeb, if you were a Transformer, you'd be Optimus. Fine. Fantide, Extreme Cobra, Epic Amy, Dylan's voice, Rem's charisma, and Shaun's culture would make the perfect man, now to lure you guys into my fusion chamber. Juratic T, Data Type, Darkstorm 713, Dante Soriano, Daddy Dylan's yogurt doesn't taste yummy at all. Creed 13, Shy 900, Cheese Monkey, Cage in the House, Brockhart for Geodudes, Big Blue Bear Boy, Audio Glitch, Ariel Bird, Elise Howard, AJ Honey, Adam McLaughlin, 24 weeks to pure electric, 480 HP, 600 pound-foot of torque. Warning, you're 799 episodes away. Man, you're on the updates. Vincent Calabrese, Tim Dulu has taken Cedar City, and Ice Age declare the Simon Theater is magnificent. Stay tuned as Team Dulu slowly takes Utah.
Jesus.
Stick Meat. Oh wait, no. I'm wearing Boy Wizard here and I didn't even realize.
Oh,
Reverse,
this episode
reverse.
really fucked you up, didn't it?
We're in Hogwarts, y'all, and everybody, they're gonna go through this magical school. You guys will become an Alice in Wonderland character. So, warning, you're 799 episodes away. You have become Bill. He's a lizard.
Yeah.
Vincent Calabrese, you get to become the Dodo. So you get that thesaurus ready. Team Dulu has taken Cedar City, etc., you get the March Hare. That's who you are.
All right.
Stick Meat, you are going to become the mouse. The very, very frightened
The
mouse.
Dormouse?
Nope.
Nope, just the mouse.
Nope, just the mouse.
Just the mouse.
Yep. Silken Spectre, he's the Dormouse.
There's more
You
than
see.
one mouse?
Yes, there's the mouse and the Dormouse. This has just been established, Shaun.
I look, my only reference to anything Alice in Wonderland lately has been this anime, so fuck do I know.
Fuck. Rivas, you are Kirito. Uh, Ratby said the finish in the judge, jury, and executioner. I mean, being the judge, jury, and executioner, you are going to be the Queen of Hearts. Pocket Gamer 513, you get to be the Frog Footman. PL Mayor, you are the Pigeon. So you're very angry. MT the Poet, you are going to be the Mock Turtle. Momo the Griff, you have become the Caterpillar. Mike wants an Overlord review. Mike, you've become the Mad Hatter, a crowd favorite. Miguel DeLeon, you are the Griffin. Marcus Mitchell, you get to be the very esteemed White Rabbit. Maitawa says, if you ever review Monogatari series, I insist on 3 arcs rule. You get the Knave of Hearts, accused of stealing the Queen's tarts, if you know what I mean. Inuyasha is my favorite cryptid. It says, is your name Yuki because you know I'm crazy for you? You get to become all of the playing cards, every single goddamn one of them. Irem would just like to let everyone know that I suck and that I'm a girl and I like ribbons in my hair. Sigh, and it's cut off.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
I mean, yeah. I mean, these things are categorically false, but if they were true, that'd be all right.
Yeah, no, gender stereotypes are bullshit anyways.
You get the cook, the cook that makes everyone sneeze. Hinata is a ball of sunshine. You get Alice's sister. Hey kids, throws Biscuit into Abyss. Fetch, you're just Alice. Congrats.
Wow.
Harrison, you are the king of hearts. Gay as fuck, but without the fuck, because I'm Ace, you are the Cheshire Cat. Fisherman from Norway, you get the Duchess. The unfortunately ugly Duchess. Derpy Pangu, you are going to be, the Duck, competing against Beethoven 1201 aka Koei Izumi, who will be the Lori, and Anime Girl, who will be the Eaglet. They're all racing each other. Then we get to Anchoi 4. Shit. You're gonna be Johnny Depp. I always run out, even when I think like, oh, I have so many. All Father's Cursed Fact of the Week. I'm running out of cursed facts. Dylan, could you please add one on my behalf?
Cursed fact of the week. If you're a boulder climber who also participates in autoerotic asphyxiation, you are 33 times more likely to die while masturbating than from falling to your death.
You get The Rock. Some may say, hey, Remington, that's not a role. Tell that to 5th grade me, all right? I played a great rock in Alice in Wonderland.
I always took him more for a tree kind of guy.
See, that's what I was going for. Oh, of course. Aaron Hegland, you get Tweedledee. 2 sec, Shaun, I have to show you my Rule 34 of UE. It is my favorite of my many folders. You get Tweedledum. And dash dot dash dot dash walls from Lord Brockdoof. You get the greatest of all, the Cheshire Bidoof. So there we go. Now we move on into the greatest of all tiers, the inappropriate Joey Wheeler tier, and boy has this expanded, so I need to figure this out.
It's a nice problem to have. It's a very nice problem to have.
I will give you each an Alice in Wonderland quote that you must live your life by.
Oh God.
And I will do so, of course, as Joey Wheeler. So we start with X-Boosh. X-Boosh, here's how you need to live your life. Off with their heads. Just fuck them. Just kill them all, man.
I don't think you can advise that, Ram.
Next up, we have Wanna Go Halfsies on a Baby. Here's how you need to live your life. Why, sometimes I've believed as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast. Who needs logic and rationality? Get rid of it all. Live fundamentally irrationally. If something makes sense, it's wrong. Oh, fuck. Shaun, we should watch Hellsing Abridged next week. The way to live your life is, it's no use going back to yesterday because I was a different person then. Just solid advice there. There you go. Keep moving forward.
That one tracks. That one's okay.
Magic Ice Ball. We're all mad here. So, just gently fall into insanity.
Like we have.
Yes. This show will help. Logan Young. All right, Shaun, this is a collab.
Is it?
I need you to say, I don't think.
Okay. Hey, Yugs, I don't think.
Then you shouldn't talk. So, think before you speak, Logan. To my dear old mom, It takes all the running you can do to keep the same place. If you want to get somewhere else, you gotta run at least twice as fast as that. Workaholic. Never stop working, ever. Coral Empire. It would have made a dreadfully ugly child, but it makes rather a handsome pig. See, so it's all about perspective, is what's that saying. And also, find yourself a handsome pig.
It worked for... No, I'm not going to make that joke. Never mind.
Black Cell, not the white one. You get the way to live your life. And what is the use of a book without pictures or conversation? So just see the world, talk about the world, but never read about the world. And last but not least, going above and beyond, we have Dylan Hayden. And you are going to get my favorite Alice in Wonderland quote. Levels are just numbers. In this world, strength is just an illusion. There are more important things. That's definitely from Alice in Wonderland. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Thank you all for tuning into this. Like, it might hit 2 hours. We'll see. Episode. If you want to reach out, whether it's for a comment, question, feedback, or recommendation, you can tweet us at AnimeConPod on Twitter or send an email over onto animeoutofcontext@gmail.com to send happy photos please help me. Please.
Yeah, no, please send us cute pictures. We love that. But with that in mind, thank you all so much for tuning in. We love and appreciate you all very much. We do this for you. And as always, don't fuck your sister.
I pin you down and straddle you, then you pin me down and straddle me. Like, that's the kind of wrestling we're going for here. You also have a system within your body of very small microtubules. In those microtubules, it's pure cum.
I'm a slut for a good roll table. I don't like you. I want to kill you.
Irem would just like to let everyone know that I suck and that I'm a girl and I like ribbons in my hair. These things are categorically true. I understand that Hitler was a bad dude. However,